Yeah. Well, you've been talking the whole joke. That's why I stopped.
Okay, I mean, freedom of speech, right?
I wonder who you voted for. No. I just hold on. How old are you? You guys gotta be my age at least, older.
39, that's my age.
Yeah, because like, look how you're acting in public. But look how upset you're going 0 to 100 really quick. No, she is. Well, I mean, you're with her. Biden? What is it? We're getting political already. You're in Vegas. You're supposed to be having a good time. Why are you so hostile? Because have you never been to a comedy show before? You're very confrontational. Is this how you guys always are? No? Yeah, because I'm more into this. This is fun. I want to find out how mentally ill people make it in society. Why are you so angry? Did you guys lose $3 today? What happened? You guys need to each other so you can be a little bit more calm. How am I supposed to do my show at this point? You guys have ruined the evening for everyone. I'm having fun. I get paid regardless. Guys, you know this is crazy right now, right? Let's wait 4 more minutes. Let's take an outside look at this whole situation. Do you think this is a normal interaction in society? Because you guys were chatting from the get-go. That's the problem, is you guys think it's okay to talk at a live performance show.
You're right. Just like when I'm at work, people can talk. Right?
Yeah, this isn't work. This is a live show that other people, you're ruining, other people paid a lot of money to be here.
That's not your job.
My job is to scold you. My job is to scold you.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Doug, my job is to scold you.
Oh.
Okay? Just making sure we get that straight at the top. Welcome to Brothers in Booze.
Yeah, welcome, Lauren. Yay!
Hi. I was like, maybe I should not talk until spoken to.
You're not getting scolded. I'm the one getting scolded. Just for the record, it'll be me.
Great. So sorry. Also, hi.
I love it. I'm the one that's going to be doing the scolding here. I love that guy. That was fun. Anyway,
yeah.
What else is fun, Doug, is this really this Venture Brewing beer. My green screen here, whatever, is not going to be able to show it. It says Bandshell beer. It's a pale ale with a Zaka and something else that I can't read without my glasses. I'm Thelma now, Lauren. I don't know if you've noticed. So now, I'm Thelma.
It's like Mr.
Zaka
Beast
and Cascade. Oh, really?
Okay.
I hear good things about Mr. Beast from my son.
He is not like the video game guy, like Beast from X-Men. Sorry. Mr. Beast is like kind of a wishy-washy figure. But anyway, go ahead with the beer. Sorry.
No worries. The clarity was good there. The clarity was good. Bandshell beer, pale ale with Azaka and Cascade. And my spooky background is going to like it.
Wash out.
Yeah. Nice little pale ale from Venture Brewing here. I gotta work this to make it better. But yeah, Doug. What's going on with you?
All right, so I'm going to start light with a lager from WeldWorks, which WeldWorks is not easy to get where I am because that's in Colorado. I get their Colorado Ale, which is a 4.3% easy drinking ale, but it's really a lager. So I'm going to start a little light tonight, but trust me, I'll get into heavier stuff later. But.
Okay, cool. And I apologize for not letting Lauren go first. We're just not used to having Lauren here.
I
That's
just
nice.
sneak in sometimes.
That'll
Why
be
don't
nice.
you go? Why don't you go while
Not a
I get through the aggressive head pour that
Oh.
I have?
No, I
Thank
mean
you.
we're already there, so you might as well just finish. We're already there, so you might
I
as
mean,
well
we
just
want to
finish.
see the committed beverage sip.
That's true.
Yeah, haven't seen that in New York City yet, dog. We'll be looking for it though.
Hey, Daniel, unfortunately, you're going to have to do the whole thing with stream at Facebook where you affiliate it to
Oh.
see you. So,
Yeah,
and usually he's good with that. So, yeah. So this
Sometimes
is a very
up.
this is like a very light lager kind of deal. Not like a standard lager. It's only 4.3%, so it's more along the lines of your light lagers. I'm going to say Miller Lite. That's kind of a bad example, but you know what I mean. Stuff along that line because it's a lower ABV one, but quite drinkable, quite crushable. But hey, it's WeldWorks. I have not had a lot of their stuff. My brother-in-law lives like 10 miles from WeldWorks, so he goes there all the time. So he gets a lot of their really heavy stuff, their media noches and all that stuff that's like $40 a bottle. So yeah, he gets the heavy stuff. But this is quite good. So cheers. How about you, Lauren? What you got?
I had to go out to go get some beverages because I was running low. But so I decided to go a little thematic for spooky season horror show a little bit. So I'm starting with a beer and a brewery I've never had before. It looks like it's Tenma Beer Project. It's got like this cool kind of dark, creepy,
That's cool.
creepy geometric stuff going on. They are local to me, Oakland, California. And this is a Schwartz beer, which I don't know a lot about, but this is called Fade into Shadows. So it feels very creepy, and I don't love that, but I'm here for it, and I'm gonna try this, and it's gonna be great. Can't wait.
Schwartz beer is one of my favorite beer styles.
Oh, good to know.
It should be dark and light.
Yeah, it's
like
like a darker beer, but it's only like
smoky.
4.6%.
Yeah, not a high ABV, but it's got a lot of good notes to it. Look at that.
This is the color I like, so I'm excited.
I'm kind of jealous. I love me a Schwartz beer.
Ooh, yes, this is a good style. It is very dangerously easily drinkable because it's not as heavy as stouts and porters and barrel aged. I also love.
Yep.
But has good flavor and got good notes. Ooh, danger.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Maybe. Who's to say?
No, this is the best comment.
Wait. Before we even get there, don't they kill all the black people first in horror movies?
Yeah, that was
really
the point of the joke.
But you got a real bad double whammy with the glasses too, because the glasses.
Right.
Oh,
you always lose
yeah.
the glasses.
Yeah,
So
but
you got 2 strikes against you at this point.
right.
Oh man, dude.
They cast the dumbest black people in these horror movies.
I mean,
Except for Get Out.
Not
Get Out.
cast-
Get Out is the exception.
Right,
Less
but that
the
was a black
casting, more the
producer, so right.
It's like, oh, sad. This is what's going to happen always, and it's a bummer.
Right. So
yes,
we are very excited about our guests. We are going to move everything out. Normally we would do What the Fuck News, which I know Chris Carlton comes here for. Chris, come back next week. We'll do What the Fuck News with Ariana. And she'll love it too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe
Well,
she'll have something. Yeah, well, maybe she'll have a piece of news that she wants to talk about in that segment. We'll bring that back next week. We're going to be doing little things different here because we want to talk horror movies. Tis the season. We're excited about our guest who, I mean, if anybody knows horror movies, it's her. Whether it be working on the scenes of them or just consuming them as much as she does. Right. I think she does definitely more consuming than working, and she works her ass off.
this is true.
She
Every
definitely
opportunity
watches,
she gets.
right. She blew me away about how many movies that she watched the last time or the time before.
Oh my
god.
god.
How many movies. And it was just like, lady, you are no.
We can check the count again this time because
it's way more at this point, I imagine.
Right. But her dedication to, I think I guess we talked about it a little bit, but I guess her dedication to her craft also is part of that. But I would, I don't know, we'll get into it, but one of the things is don't you sometimes need Lauren, if you do a certain job, sometimes doesn't your escape need to be like to get far away from that, if that makes
You
sense,
know,
mentally?
yes, one
But
might think
it
that.
doesn't work that. Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't work that way with movies, but movies are so vast too and so
It's true.
wonderful.
And
But
they're so immersive. So yes,
right.
so as Greg has led up, but we have like not actually said the name. Um, our guest today is my lovely longtime friend, Whitney Anne Adams, who is a costume designer and movie watcher extraordinaire. I like don't even understand how she can consume so much and also do so much. And
But she remembers all of them too, like
yes,
like almost like
specifics.
photographic memory. It's crazy. So sorry. I'm sorry, Lionel.
No, it's good because, like, I mean, we can talk about that too. But a lot of movies is about being immersed in a world, and you're like in it, and that means they did a good job when you remember stuff. Because if you don't, it's probably not great. But yeah, so Wendy's gonna join us because I love her to death, and also feel so bad because I can't always watch the things that she works on or suggests because they're too scary. So I'm very excited to be talking to her with y'all in the safety of other people.
Hi, y'all.
Whitney.
Thank you for having me. What a wonderful welcome.
Before we get too far, what are you drinking?
I was gonna go get some beer at the brewery next to my house, but it was pouring rain today, so I decided not to. So I made myself an old fashioned in my Sundance Film Festival glass.
Great substitution.
Yes.
What bourbon did you use for the old
I
fashioned?
had my standby of Maker's Mark today for this because it's a nice mixed drink. And so, prefer to have it in things instead of by itself.
Yeah, that one is definitely a mixer. There's definitely bourbons that are made for mixed drinks as opposed to like just drinking it on its own.
Yeah. This one is for mixed drink. So it's a nice, it's my favorite cocktail. I love an old fashioned.
Agreed. So we got a lot to talk about, but I think Greg, you start us off. You wanted to lead with something, so kick us off here with Whitney.
Well, I mean, Whitney, since we last saw you, there's been a lot going on. I don't know even where we start, to be honest with you. But let's start with I believe the last time we talked, y'all were on strike, or your comrades were on strike.
Yes. The writers the writers were on strike. They got a great fair deal. Actors are still on strike. Tomorrow's day 100 of the SAG strike. So it's been going on for quite a while. The writer's strike started May 2nd. So it's been a really long time. I've only worked 2 months out of the last 12. So it's been pretty rough. And even though I'm not on strike, I'm affected as if I were. But I stand in full solidarity with my colleagues because they deserve a fair deal. But it's definitely been a rough one for all of us in IATSE and just trying to get by because we can't work.
So that was kind of a contention piece from people, outsiders like Lauren and Doug and I, was whether the writers would, and the actors, but they're still in it, would get a fair shake. So you're telling me that from what you hear and what you know, that it was a good deal for them?
A very good deal, kind of a groundbreaking deal. They got it was really beautiful, honestly, to see what they held out for, and all of that time and effort and sacrifice that everyone has made. They got a really amazing deal, and they didn't get everything, but that's a compromise. That's, when you head to the negotiation table, you have to give certain things up, and I think they got far more than anyone expected, but they got what they deserved, and I'm really, really happy for all of them.
And so are we, because we all enjoy our content. I mean, Doug, I don't know what Doug would do without his content. I just don't even know.
Hey,
So
I'm not the only one here that watches a lot of stuff.
This is true, but you would be driving your wife up a wall, man, if you didn't have your.
I lean more into audiobooks and shit like that. That's where my brain. I'll just go over do this. Like,
right.
But Doug, in all fairness, though, I'm more of a reality show people. So I know there's writers there, but not to the extent that Whitney's area, where and the areas that you love, Doug, which is literally writers. Literally, you love writers, but also just the writing and a lot of the things that you like, Doug, whether it be like, Gold and all that, we've heard so many, great acclaims of the writing behind all that. So it's just great, Whitney, to hear that the writers got a good deal, because we've been hearing what they've been pitching to the actors and all that. And it's been pretty heinous, to be honest with you. And pretty like low blow, and we want to pay you $5 for your AI images and all that. It's
Crazy
like,
stuff.
yeah, it's just crazy. So that's why I had to make sure when you said that it was a good deal for the writers, I was like, whoa, wait, did you just say that?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
great. They got a great deal. I like combed through it, especially because usually the studios use part of the writers and actors deals as a pattern for IATSE next year. So our negotiations are next year. So I'm sure that they're going to carry over certain things. Our contracts are completely different, but there are some similarities. So I've been pouring through. I'm on the negotiations committee for both the Costume Designers Guild on the West Coast and the East Coast Union in Local 829. So I am doing my homework and studying all of these deals and seeing what's happening. But with the actors, it's totally different from what the writers' deals are. So you can't just copy and paste it over because it's completely different stuff. I mean, the AI likeness is such a huge issue, and the fact that 87% of actors can't afford can't even qualify for the SAG health insurance. They don't make over I think it's $27,000 a year. 87% of actors don't make over $27,000 a year.
But that's the thing. People think like they think actors and they think big act. They don't real like you have to think about all the people that they aren't the names you know. It's these little bit actors and actors in commercials and like things that are smaller bits. They're the people that are the meat and bones of the entire actors union.
They're 87%. I mean, the fact that so many people can't make a living at all, and like it's truly astounding, and that's why the residuals fight is so important. And so you think of an actor and you think of all these A-list, high money making, but that's like 1% of all actors that exist.
Oh, you say you're saying there's a 1% in that realm too. Oh, okay.
Right. And like they can afford, they make great money and they work really hard, and it honestly is really hard being a famous actor in a lot of ways. You have to give up so much of your life and you have to sacrifice a lot, and you'll get hounded in public forever, and there's trade-offs completely, but a lot of actors just want to do the craft that they love and make a living and support their families. So that's what this strike is about.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody's saying that, in my opinion, whether we like him or not, Tom Cruise earns all that money because he puts butts in seats, he puts people in streaming. You see his name. Yeah, you see his name and it just automatically brings in an amount of people, and that you should be compensated for. There's no question on that. The 100%. The problem is what you're saying, the problem is the people that we don't know their names, and they're the background people that, those scenes would not be anything without them.
Completely.
Also too, so there's that, balance that has to be struck. And another balance that has to be struck. I need to stop talking, and one of my co-hosts needs to make a follow-up. So,
I got one.
Whoever, I just wanted to jump in though to make sure that we knew that, like, we're not disparaging Keanu Reeves. I don't know how you
Keanu Reeves. We love them.
But yeah. And they are a big part of it. Being the big stars. But yeah, we got everybody.
And so many of them have showed up on the picket lines, have donated money. I mean, so many of the big stars are really putting a lot of weight behind the effort, and I love to see it. And the one thing that's tough though is all of us, crew and Teamsters, and we're not on strike. We are affected as if we were. So a lot of people are feeling forgotten, but I think at the same time, we're all showing up for our colleagues. And so we just ask that they do the same next year for our negotiations. So, if we are all united, we have to win. We will win. So that's why we're standing up for our colleagues, and just as much as they're going to stand up for us.
All right. So my question would be, does this also affect things like Broadway actors?
It doesn't. No.
Okay. I was curious if they were part of the SAG. So it's just the movie, TV show portion of actors.
It's a specific contract. So it's their main SAG contract. So it's only for motion pictures.
Screen Actors Guild. God, I'm a dope.
No, but you have a lot
of many acronyms.
There's so many things happening.
Well, I can't remember them all.
My union on the East Coast, we handle both live performance and MOPIC. So, our negotiations are just going to be for our MOPIC contract. So there's 1,000 million different contracts, but that's why so many think actors are doing Broadway and theater right now.
That's valid. I actually have another follow, which I forget if we asked last time, but I think that it's worth sharing or asking again, is just that for people who are like the consumers specifically, because there's the like crew and everybody like you've talked about who are like indirectly and directly affected by this situation. And then there's the people in like consumer and other industries that are not related to it at all. And other than being like, we support this and everyone should get paid equally and fairly, and like spreading the word, like, are there things that can be done? Because I was like, I'm not in a place where I can go like picket. So are there things, what's helpful to anyone involved?
Basically sharing on social media, just, I support the actors, tweeting that the AMPTP, I support the actors in their quest for a fair deal, and, continue to consume content, because that does, I hate the word content, but continue to consume TV, film,
media,
because it really helps all the actors because they get their residuals if you keep watching their stuff. So like, there's no one's asking for a ban or to stop doing any of that. So keep watching, keep supporting, be vocal on social media. All of that is helpful. Donate to the strike fund if you can. There's an amazing woman on Twitter, or X as it were, who has been doing a pizza run to the strike lines every single day of the strike this entire time, starting with the beginning of the writer's strike. So there's all sorts of different places that I have linked on my website where you can donate.
Oh,
great.
Cool.
So your website has stuff for us.
Yes.
And so we'll have to get that website up so everybody can know where to go, because that's important.
Yeah. So all of that helps, even $5 towards, or each pizza is $10. So throw $10 at the pizza fund, and you gave a pizza to the actors striking.
The pizza, the thing I can eat once every 2 months. Awesome. All right. Sorry, I had another question and it just kind of looped out of my head there. What was the deal for, like, so I know another big piece of this is like the streaming end of it. Like, as far as like streaming, they get paid like way less than they should, because I think is it something with the metrics that they don't know how to define, or they say they don't know how to define the metrics to pay them? Is that how it works? What's
it's all smoke and mirrors. They don't release the viewership data. It's a whole different way of organizing how they get residuals. So they basically get nothing, or next to nothing, if not a big fat zero. So what they're asking for is a share. I think they're asking for a share of the subscriber base is what they're asking for right now, I believe. So I think it's like 53 cents total per subscriber they're asking for, something like that. I think those are the details. So that's being hammered out right now, and we'll see what, but they're not negotiating right now. The AMPTP walked away from the table. So there's no end in sight right now.
Man.
Yeah, because they think they can wait them out, I think is but it was one of those idiots was like, wait until they're homeless or some shit like that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I've lost all my savings. I am in debt again. I have nothing, and it's been pretty rough. But I still support my colleagues, but I've lost all of my safety nets.
That's why if you go to Whitney's website, there are links for how to support and share and donate to pizza funds and all kinds of things
all
for
sorts
the people
of stuff
who need some support in this, just trying to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your website again, Whitney? So we can put
it's
that up.
Down there. Yeah. Whitney
Anne. I missed it. Sorry.
And there's great stuff like places to donate for, just to help all sorts of different. There's a whole bunch of different stuff. It's on the union side there's a little union tab, and it's all there.
Amazing. Oh, pulling it up.
Yeah.
Union tab way over
all the
there.
way there, all the way on the right.
What I found fun there, Whitney, was when I was there this week a couple times, was just going through your portfolio of the movies that you have worked on and putting them in my queue, because there's a bunch of Netflix ones, y'all. So I don't know, Whitney, if you want to talk about some of the recent things that you have done. Obviously, that hasn't been that much, unfortunately, given the times.
Right.
But you have a lagging, I think you have a lag. I call what you have a lagging career, meaning you do a whole lot of hard work at one point, and then it takes a while for that to be seen.
Yeah.
And then once it's, once it comes out, it's like a different, so there's a lag there. So
Exactly.
you did, do a lot of work before this strike. So a lot of that still should be coming to the forefront
Yeah, I have
here.
2 movies in the can. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'll have 2 things coming out next year. One horror movie and one is a big period studio drama, which I'm really excited about.
My computer's not letting me access my files, unfortunately. But I did have a couple of your latest ones
Yeah.
that I wanted to talk about, but we'll just give you the stage and you can talk about
Awesome.
the latest ones that are
So I actually have a movie in theaters right now. It's sort of selected. It's in LA and a couple cities, but it's a movie called Story Ave, and it's about graffiti gangs in the Bronx in 2011. It's a coming of age story. It's really beautiful. Stars Asante Black and Luis Guzman, who I love and was so happy to work with. Out of Sight is one of my favorite movies, and he's amazing in that. So it was great to work with Luis and. So that's in theaters right now, Story Ave. Go to kinolorber.com. They have all of the theatrical listings. And then before that, I had a movie come out in February on Netflix called We Have a Ghost. It's Christopher Landon's most recent movie. It's actually the biggest movie I've ever done. It was a lot of people. I think I talked about, about it last time where I had 80 principals and 2,000 background and 150 stunt people. And it's about a friendly ghost. It's sort of E.T. meets Casper, starring David Harbour, Anthony Mackie, Jahi Winston, Jennifer Coolidge. It was a great cast and a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think last time you talked about how Jennifer Coolidge was like basically as cool as everybody thinks she is.
Yes, 100%. She would like send me these paragraph text messages with all these emojis, and I'm just in love with her. She's wonderful.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So great. And then I did a little thing on my Instagram recently where I did Whitney's horror movie marathon because I've designed 7 horror movies now. So you could really make a whole marathon of it. And there's 2 I'll talk about later in the show. But I would also like to plug Freaky, which is the Vince Vaughn, Catherine Newton body swap horror comedy, which I'm super, super proud of.
Those last 2 that she mentioned are ones that are slightly more family-esque friendly, and
Lauren can watch it.
I survived, and they're great. Yeah. They're so entertaining.
Yeah.
So here's Story Ave.
Yeah.
Story Ave right there.
I love our poster.
Yeah, I love that one.
Very cool.
I'm sorry, Doug. You can go.
I was going to say, Luis Guzman will forever be the guy in Waiting for Me with the nice bat wing. That always just fucking slays me every fucking time.
He's the nicest guy. I love him so much. Just a gem of a man.
Yeah, I think our Eddie has interviewed him before on his he does a whole podcast about dads and such. So he had him on talk about fatherhood. So and he gets a lot. He gets a lot of really famous people on that podcast. So
I love that. Yeah. Louis' son also produced our movie. So he was on set. See me. He's great. Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
that's
cool.
Cool.
Family.
Yeah. And just our director, Aristotle Torres, was amazing. Just the whole cast and crew. It was a really intense, short, quick filming process. And we were in the summer in the Bronx. It was very hot.
Oh, boy.
But it was a beautiful experience. And I'm super proud of the movie. I think it's gorgeous.
Another one I got, or you mentioned, but I wanted to show the promo for it.
Yeah.
This one?
We have a ghost.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to speak a little bit more to this one because it's obviously great for the time frame.
Yes, completely. Also, it's family friendly, which is really nice. It's sort of a gateway movie for our younger audience members, for sure. There's a couple of scary moments, but what I love about Chris Landon so much is that he blends horror, comedy, sort of heartfelt dramas and beautiful storylines, and it really makes you feel all these feelings, but you also have like a lovely journey. So that's what I love so much about this movie. It's fun, and I'm really proud with how the costumes came out.
Awesome. Is it Lauren friendly?
Yes.
I have watched it, and I will watch it again.
Oh, Lauren, you got to give yourself
Look at you. That's some credit for you there, Lauren.
That looks spooky. It looks spooky.
But it does have like I appreciate the, like Whitney was saying, there's like a lightness to that one as well. I don't know if you ended up with a image for the other movie she mentioned, Freaky, but both of those have, there's like it's like scary-esque, but it's like a little bit of comedy, a little bit of lightness, and like there's like storyline, not just like in your face stuff constantly, and not too much like psychological scary things, which is what I really don't like.
And there's a lot of gore,
that's what
but
I
it's
love.
funny.
But it's really
Funny gore.
lovely. And I feel like we have a ghost specifically. It's like a very like in content, if you will, as well as like the visual. It's very colorful, like just it like in the visuals as well as like storyline and characters. I really enjoyed it.
Yay.
And then I have one more here for you to comment on.
Yep.
Is this one?
Oh yes, 3 months. This is a movie that got halfway through filming, the pandemic hit, and so we had to take a 6-month break and then finishing the movie was just one of the most, special days because we actually finished it. It's a coming of age story set in 2011, Hollywood, Florida. About this kid played by pop star Troye Sivan, where
Troye Sivan's in a lot of controversy right now. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know much about what's going on there. All I can say is he's such a sweet, lovely guy. I love him so much. And so his character finds out on the eve of his high school graduation he might have contracted HIV. So he has to wait 3 months to find out whether he did or not. And it's about that journey. And it has Ellen Burstyn, Louis Gossett Jr. Just an amazing cast. It was really a fun one to do.
Just for the Troye Sivan thing, the controversy is that he did a music video where he dressed in drag.
That's the controversy?
Of course it is.
Oh my God. So
and
ridiculous.
he looks great.
I'm sure he does. He's a beautiful guy.
So yeah, that's the whole controversy.
Oh
with that,
my goodness, Gray.
Anywho, we won't stay there, Doug.
No.
Yeah, sorry to get in the
Ain't your fault.
in a younger group thing where I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about.
And it's not your fault. It's not your fault that people are idiots. So,
fair point.
You can't take ownership on that one. But I will make you take ownership on this question I got for y'all. Before we get to I'm not even going to know how to categorize it. Y'all going to categorize your lists up here because it was kind of an interesting thing how we came to what the lists are. But Lauren, I know you wanted to answer this question. So
I was like, what was it? Oh God.
What movie traumatized y'all as a kid?
Ugh.
So
okay.
Lauren starts.
We'll do ladies first.
I mean, okay.
I'll
go with this one. Is there a better answer? Maybe, but the one that I'm answering with right now is it is a horror. I'll call horror. I don't know what counts as horror. It's a scary movie to me. But I'm gonna go Sixth Sense because I was like not a young kid, but like kid-esque.
Did we watch that together, Lauren?
I don't think I was like I
was trying to remember.
Blair Witch, I think.
Yes, we watched Blair Witch together.
I sort of watched and then I chose.
I was dressed as Ghostface. I didn't even take my mask off when I watched the movie.
She was very serious about watching.
I was very serious about being Ghostface.
So Whitney takes her movies very seriously in all walks of life.
I was Ghostface for all 3 years of middle school for Halloween.
Committed, consistent,
very committed.
But Sixth Sense for me was like not young childhood, but formative years. And my mom wanted to see the movie. And I was like, okay. And I didn't really know a lot about I knew vaguely, but I didn't know a lot about the movie. And we went to the movie theater and my mom fell asleep in the theater, and I was in the theater panicking and freaking out, and then didn't sleep well for like a week because I was like, oh my God, it's dark and it's cold and there's dead people, and it didn't go well. So that was not necessarily the first movie that freaked me out, but it has stuck with me because I still sometimes think about when it's chilly out and like, there are dead people here. That's what's happening. They're nearby. So Sixth Sense. is mine. Maybe not shocking for some.
I love it. I mean, it is pretty scary, especially at that age.
I mean, because it does have also like those. It's kind of, there's some moments where you're like, oh, the costumes and makeup, it's a lot. But then also the like psychological part that you find out later. Also, it was a lot. It was a lot for young teenage, preteen, whatever age I was. Me.
1999, we were I was 15.
Love that you
14.
know the year. I was like, I have no idea.
I was 9 years out of high school.
We were babies.
We were 14, 15. I think I was 14 and you were, I don't know.
Sometimes
something like that.
Like not like either like just before high school or around high school, somewhere around there.
Something out there.
Middle school, I don't know. Sometime in that time. It wasn't great. It was not my favorite. So that trauma. Hooray, everyone. Who's
Whitney?
next?
Okay,
Whitney.
so I have two. The main one is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Which one? Which version?
Oh, the Gene Wilder.
Oh, yeah.
It's the scariest movie to this day I've ever seen. I will never see it again. I hate it so much. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And you know how many horror movies I watch. I will never watch that movie again. I hate it so much. It's so scary.
Okay, can I ask some follow-up questions? Because I feel like I know this about you, but it's a slightly surprising one.
It
The vast
is.
majority of
It
movies.
is.
I don't think it is.
Okay, so what is it about it that traumatized you? And is there a specific part that sticks out in your mind?
There's a couple multiple parts.
Okay.
But I think it sticks in a couple multiple. It is so psychologically horrifying. And you think about turning into a blueberry. Just think about it for a minute. Just absolutely terrifying. Blowing up like a beach ball and exploding full of blueberry? No, thank you. Horrifying. It's like that. It's body horror. It's straight up body horror.
That's true.
And then getting trapped in the television. And then the chocolate poo swamp. I mean, I can't even with that.
Okay, I mean, that's fair. Like, chocolate sounds great. Poop chocolate sounds terrible.
That whole movie terrifies me. I also hate Gene Wilder to this day because of this movie. And so I cannot watch a single movie with him in it because all I can think about is Willy Wonka.
Like the great acting that made it so terrible for you.
I cannot see him in anything. Therefore, I will not watch Young Frankenstein. I will not watch anything that he is in. So it scarred me.
Deep trauma.
Deep trauma. And the other one is just a scene from a movie. Is one of my favorite movies, Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. I've seen it a bajillion times, but I first saw it when I was young, and when Donovan dies and like turns into the skeleton, I was terrified. And every night for I think 6 months, I would have to repeat to myself, "It's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me." It's not. And then I would like mess up my wording, and I would say, "It is going to happen to me," and then I would like scream, and then. That's how active my imagination was. So those are my two most traumatic childhood memories.
Doug?
It's real.
All right. Well, the first one, there's two for me. First one is not surprising. It's The Exorcist. I saw that very young, and that scared the shit out of me. And I slept with the lights on for like a week. But that's
valid.
That's not uncommon. The Exorcist is a lot of that for a lot of people. The other one that actually really freaked me out, and it was because of the makeup special effects, was American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
Like at the time, that was like crazy good fucking special effects. And the way they made him turn into a werewolf, just
so cool.
But
it's terrifying.
Fucking terrified me. I was like, I was 10 because it was 1981. And I saw that and I was like, it was freaking terrifying me. Oh my God, that movie. It's a good movie. It's actually pretty funny in parts. But just the makeup and special effects just fucking freaked me out.
Yeah.
So much of it is like the timing of life, right? Like, how are you old enough to handle this? Probably not. And then you watch it, and then it was a bad choice.
And you're like, yeah, I definitely wasn't. Hey, can I make a point quick about The Sixth Sense? One scene that gets buried that people forget about is the scene where the boy goes in and he talks to the girl ghost, and they find the videotape and they put the videotape and realize the mom has been poisoning the child the whole time and then the child died. And that scene is the most fucked up scene in that entire movie by a mile to me.
Agreed. Completely
It's like
agree.
that brief storyline, I don't know, snippet of that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, also because there's the initial also stuck with me, the like sort of jump scary thing where she's like under the bed or whatever.
Right.
Like that's jumpy horrifying. And then there's like the unpacking of that, and you're like, also horrifying.
The most
like-
horrifying part for me was the dad's face. I feel like the father's face is etched into my memory when he realizes what his wife was doing. That part was the most disturbing.
Yeah.
So much of that movie.
All right, Greg, your turn, my man.
Oh, you did too? You said you had two, right?
Yeah, I said The Exorcist, which I didn't really need to go in detail because that's basically
Right.
everybody's.
You're like, yes, obviously.
Yeah, that's self-explanatory.
And then the werewolf.
American Werewolf in London.
American
yeah.
one.
To save time and to, I think it's going to get my point across. I just got to show one picture,
What are you
and
showing?
it'll just explain it all.
I
Really,
don't like
It's just a picture. It's gonna be okay.
It's really self-explanatory.
Yep.
The Shining, no. The long corridors, the creepiness factor is just insane. And I was way too young to see that shit.
How old were you?
When did that movie come out? Like 70? Actually, I have it.
It was late 70s.
80. It came out 80.
Okay.
I was born in 73, and I saw that
so
shit.
single digits.
I saw, yeah. It wasn't good.
No.
It wasn't. The results were not good.
No.
All right,
how that happened? You know, like it's funny because remember our parents were like, we're gonna save our kids from, cable and MTV and
the
meanwhile,
things you did instead.
Meanwhile, y'all out here showing me this, and like, no, don't do that. What's up, Doug?
I'm going to say I never saw this. I actually messaged Whitney and said, "Don't hate me, but I've never seen The Shining." And I read the book first.
Okay.
The book was fucking ridiculously great.
Mm-hmm.
The movie I fucking did not like, but I watched it as an adult.
Okay, so you watched it like more recently?
Yes, it is. It's too fucking slow. And knowing the book and knowing the movie, and King has said many times he hates Kubrick's version of this. I get it. I get the creepiness, and I could see at the time frame how that would be very creepy and terrifying, because movies moved at a different pace then. They didn't move fast. Like now they move really fucking fast. Mm-hmm. So my problem is my brain is acclimated to fast-paced movies, and I never watched it when it came out, and it probably would have scared the shit out of me then. I will say that there's a movie that I will talk about later that's in relation to that I want to talk about. But yeah,
I have a question for Doug and group who has seen this now, because I still have not seen it. I'm aware of it, and I know like the important high points, if you will. But like, if it is a slightly dated feeling, like, should I watch it, or don't worry about it? Nope. Okay, got it.
No,
Great.
It's not for you, Lauren.
Okay,
no, it's not.
excellent.
It's not for you.
No offense. So. It is like, for me, I'm used to a lot of creepy, scary shit.
I don't want.
It's enough creep factor, and there is a lot of creep factor. The bar scenes in that movie, that's fucking great. That's my favorite part of the whole movie of that. So yeah.
Yeah.
Is that movie at a hotel? It's like the whatever hotel.
Yeah,
the Overlook.
I like how Whitney went. The Overlook.
Gotta lean in for intensity.
Gotta do it. Do it.
Like I was at a work retreat once that was in. I believe this is it, but I also am not good at this. I was at a work retreat that was in Colorado once, and there's like the Stanley Hotel or whatever, which is the place where it was either filmed or modeled after. And people are like, "We want to go to a tour," and I was like, "I don't even know the movie well," but I was like, "I don't
want to go there.
think I want."
No, you
that.
Don't.
No, you don't.
Feels
You're good.
And I don't even know.
Not for Lauren. Not for you.
I'm totally fine with that. On brand. Not into it. Great.
Also, side note on that movie, Kubrick fucked up Shelley Duvall so much that she had to go to a psychiatric hospital afterwards. So
yeah, pretty awful stuff.
Yeah, he did some awful stuff to her. So,
yeah, not great.
No, not at all.
Not great, Bob.
Wow.
Not great, Bob.
I don't know how we segue away from that one, Doug. but maybe with your second beer.
Yeah. So I'm going to go full on Doug beer here, just for the warning.
I'm excited.
Wheat.
But it's not dark. Just a forewarning. It's just the ingredients.
Great.
So this is something called raspberry crunchy. Now, I don't know if you folks remember back in the day when you would go to the ice cream truck and they give you those little crunchy bars and they'd have flavors either chocolate or strawberry and they'd have all the crunchy bits on it. You'd eat it and they were fucking delicious. This is a raspberry crunchy. It is a Berliner Weiss, Greg. It's a fucking Berliner Weiss.
Okay. I mean,
Brewed with toasted coconut, vanilla, maple syrup, cinnamon, and almonds. The description is a parfait. Their description is a parfait in a can with huge doses of raspberry or hand mixed granola blend and some milk sugar. So, and it's from Other Half. Did you see that?
Oh.
Where are they? Where's that?
Other Half is Greg. You've heard of them, and I can't remember where they're from.
Is another half Chicago?
They're in Washington D.C. I thought that was Chicago. Maybe that's one of their derivatives, like in Washington.
I was just in DC yesterday.
And I just opened it and it spit beer right across my fucking table.
Just bursting with flavor.
Look at this
Oh,
color.
it's beautiful.
Look at that color, baby.
Nice.
I'm into this.
Even with an aggressive pour, that's not a lot of head. That's
That's
what she
true.
said.
Doug, the other
You unprepared? You good?
I think so. Go, Greg.
The other half has places in Philly, Buffalo, New York, Washington, D.C., and Brooklyn.
I've been to it in Brooklyn. It's great. I have had a lot of that. So I was like, I've been to their
it sounds
Brooklyn
really
location.
JC, you already know it's Doug's special. So how is it, Doug? Did we get it?
This is like a raspberry smoothie. Like it's really good if you like raspberry. It's like a really tough flavor. It's one of the like
I love raspberry.
I don't like
too.
raspberry and I don't like raspberry and beer hardly at all. But this is good. This doesn't taste like a beer though. It tastes literally like a slightly boozy raspberry.
Like a sugar
smoothie.
smoothie or like fruitier smoothie.
Fruitier
I mean,
smoothie. Yeah.
Okay, so not just like sugar smoothie. It's
No,
like
no.
a little.
No, it is because it's got milk sugar and all that shit in it.
Yeah.
But like the color out of it's fucking
It's gorgeous.
beautiful.
Yeah, love that.
But you can see the residual stuff on the glass a little bit from it.
Yeah,
That's how kind of thick. That's kind of it's almost like a milkshake IPA kind of feel. Like that's how thick it is. So definitely drinkable though. Like I'm surprised because I was really worried about it. But yeah,
I don't have my second yet. You ladies, you good?
not yet.
I'm almost ready for
getting
another
there.
old fashioned.
Okay. So before we get to our movie, I'm gonna tease this. Before we talk about the horror movies, I got one quick question. It could be rapid fire, or we can take a little time. This is really set up for our guest because I know how she loves to watch movies. So here we go. Name a horror movie that y'all seen more than 3 times.
or is this like what movie you've seen the most at the horror movie? How about that? Because I've seen the one movie. There's a horror movie that I've seen way more than 3 times.
I can
There you go.
yeah, I have multiple. Doug, do you want to go first?
No, you go.
No.
You go.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen the entire Scream series probably 20 to 30 times. So
Committed,
Yeah.
consistent.
I
What do we
rewatch
say?
them at least 2 to 3 times a year. Like if you look at my letterbox and you see how many times I've seen Scream.
Greg's mind is blown.
So Scream is my horror movie, my favorite horror movie. I've seen it a gajillion times. That one more than any other one, but yeah, that's definitely up there. Psycho, I just rewatched it this week. Actually, they were playing it at the old theater here in Virginia, and so I saw it on the big screen for the first time. That was very fun.
Nice.
That's a lot on a big screen.
That was great. I was front row.
Thank you. All right. No, wait, you watch it in the front row. Did you have to do the thing where you're like this?
No,
it's
like an old, like it's 100-year-old theater, and so
you're sitting
you have
back.
the orchestra where the orchestra used to be, and so the front row is
That's
actually
nice.
the perfect place to see a movie there.
Solid.
Yeah, it's called the Bird Theater.
Like BYRD or
Yeah,
BIRD?
BYRD.
Okay. Yeah. Not like the birds. Like I go to see a
Right.
Hitchcock movie and then it's the Bird Theater.
Which I'm
Oh,
going
no.
to the Birds. It's the Birds' 60th anniversary on Sunday, so I'm seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Nice.
Anyway.
All right. So the movie that I've probably seen the most as a horror movie is 13 Ghosts. I've watched
Great
that probably
movie.
15 times. And the reason I love it is the movie is kind of chintzy and weird and goofy, but the ghost stories in that fucking movie, I would watch a movie of each of those ghost backstories.
Yes, 100%.
The ghosts in that movie are just fucking so well done. I wish they spent more time doing that than some of the other stuff, but the problem
It's
is
very early 2000s. Like it's very of its time, but in a great way.
Like Matthew Lillard is in it and he plays a prominent role. So let's just take the acting with a grain of salt. It just, for me, it's that whole, the ghost stories in it. Apparently there's a book that somebody wrote that was like a book they fashioned just to be all the ghost backstories. And I cannot find it for the life of me because I would read the shit out of that. Like I just, it's not a hard watch. It's not something to like, it's not exactly campy, but it is. But the ghosts in it are fucking terrifying. Like just like the stories. So yeah, I've seen that probably 15 times.
Yes.
So I have not seen this, surprise, but also I'm gonna just say that like this is the level that I'm bad at scary movies, which I was like, why am I here? I'm here to participate, but I have nothing to add to this conversation. I like started to Google 13 Ghosts because I was like, I don't know what movie that is. And even the like tiny populated thumbnail, I'm like, oh my god, nope, not gonna open that.
The poster is very not
that's
Lauren
horrifying.
friendly.
Like no,
that poster is not for you.
That's a big problem for me. Like, which is great for the people making the like marketing stuff, but it's just like if it looks scary or if the trailer is like spooky feeling, I'm like, like that's actually side note a reason why I actually didn't see Shutter Island. Which is not a scary movie.
That's a great poster.
I didn't see it for a long time because like the poster and the trailers make it look fucking terrifying. And then it was like, that's not a scary movie. I was like, I don't believe you.
Hey, it's a thriller. It's a suspense.
I did eventually watch it during the daytime just to be safe. And it wasn't like scary, but it was creepy as hell in all of the marketing. So yeah, no, 13 Ghosts looks horrifying.
So Lauren, I'm going to suspect that you don't have an answer for this. Or I'm sorry,
I was like, have I seen?
Doug, did I cut you off? Did you have any more?
No.
It's just one.
The problem is off the top of my head, I can't think of others. Like I've seen a lot of horror movies, but I can't think of like my brain is just not processed because I'm already in the
like
list.
Like over and over again, like Whitney and.
I have another one.
Oh my goodness!
You can substitute for me.
Yeah.
Jaws. I've seen at least 30 to 40 times.
The original Jaws.
Yeah. And if you spy, I have the Jaws 3D record and trading cards right there.
My wife was in Jaws 3D movie for like 15 seconds. She was a kid and she was on her dad's shoulders, and there's a part where they're walking out and she's on her dad's shoulders and they film her walking out of this part. So she's actually in Jaws 3D.
Yes, that's awesome. I love Jaws 3D. Love Jaws.
Gotta go find
I saw that in the theater too, Jaws 3D, because I wanted the 3D glasses. I wanted to do all that. So yeah.
It's a ridiculous bad movie, but I'm obsessed with it.
Whitney.
Yes. What? There's a Scream cereal in the UK?
Manny would know. Manny knows all things cereal. So yeah.
Is it just like, does it have like little ghost face people in it? Like what is
I want to know what that looks like.
Yeah,
I saw someone made a ghost face ravioli on TikTok the other day.
That is
look at that. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Amazing. Very cool.
So Whitney, I'm glad that you said Jaws, because now I think about it, I've seen Jaws 3 times, so I don't know if it counts because the question is more than 3. So,
right.
But Jaws is fun because my oldest, after we saw it recently, he said that the first thing he said once it was done was like, he's like, Jaws aged really well, and I was like, well, why do you say that? And he's like, because it's just like real life. Like they were all like half the people were denying. Like he's like it's like life now. Half the people were denying the truth. They were denying like that there was a shark. We shouldn't do anything, even though people are getting eaten. And who cares if one person got eaten? No one else is going to. We got to have a commerce.
He's so right.
We got to get back to work.
The universe,
And
yeah,
all
that's
these people,
fair.
he's like, all these people that should have been eaten by the shark didn't, and the people who got eaten by the shark shouldn't have. And it was just this whole thing.
Brilliant.
Like,
That's a
it's
great
like
breakdown.
Yeah, it's like COVID, and I was like, man, you're gonna do good in this life.
That's
It's
amazing.
a COVID parallel. Holy shit.
Nailed it.
Yeah, good on your son, man. That was a great
That's
analogy.
fantastic. I mean, totally correct.
That was fun. So mine is actually Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Love that movie. It was the original. Of course that series went off the rails at whatever point you want to argue. Freddy, yes, with the
Okay.
Freddy was the original Freddy, man. That was like, it was shocking. It was like, I think it was like, I really do think, again, I don't know, Whitney, maybe you know this more about me. To me, it was like, I don't want to say a turning point, but it really kind of made horror cool, even though it was basically a slasher movie. I thought, to me as a young kid or young adult, it felt like a sea change in horror, but I really wasn't in it before. But it just made it fun. Like Freddy was fun at the end of the day, even though he was not a good person, ultimately, but he was conflicted for sure. But so mine is Nightmare on Elm Street. And then I saw some of these damn Jason movies, but I don't think I saw them more than 3 times. But Jason movies were the quintessential like dumb horror movie.
I mean, they're so ridiculous. Once you get to like Takes Manhattan or X, or I actually just saw Friday the 13th in the theater at the Bird Theater last Friday for Friday the 13th. But I mean, there's no Jason in that movie, but it started the whole franchise off. But they do get more and more ridiculous as it goes along. The fact that it takes till the 3rd movie to get the iconic character means that series is really interesting.
Yeah. Also, every time you meet somebody named Voorhees, is that the first thing that comes to your brain?
Oh yeah, that Pamela and her blue cable knit sweater.
For sure. So, anybody have a second beverage yet, or we can move into the movies?
I should go. I have to go to the other room. My bar is across my house.
My bar. Wow.
My bar. My house is 800 square feet, but it's still
but it's across the whole house.
All right, Whitney. We'll wait for you.
2 minutes.
No worries. Yep, no worries.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, for what you just said, though, I was like, I'll get my beverage after she gets hers. But I don't. Part of me was. I had such a hard time with this. I was like, is there a movie that I've seen twice? Like, I was just like, nope, once was enough. That was a mistake. It's fine. And I was trying to think even back to. I was like, okay, what if I was a kid and it was like a kid friendly but scary? I have no idea if I've seen scary movies multiple times.
Yeah, I rarely see him. Once I see him, Lauren, I'm good most of the time. Jonathan says I saw Nightmare on Elm Street decades later. It was released and I regret it. It didn't have. I didn't find anything scary about the movie. I didn't really think that was the purpose of it. Like, I don't.
Well, the premise of it is kind of scary. That something terrifies you in your dreams is kind of terrifying, but
right. But outside of that, it kind of came off more campy a lot.
Yeah, same.
Than it did. Like I'm trying to scare you. Yeah, we ain't friends anymore, JHG. You lost a friend, JHG, over there. Because he loves Freddy. Freddy was campy though. I can see how Freddy didn't age well either. I can see that. I can feel that.
Like I didn't see any of those, but a friend who thinks I have a friend who thought horror was hilarious because it's like when it's so like it's like this is so fake.
A lot of it is.
Yeah, but like she really liked it and she wanted me to go with her, and so I went and saw Freddy versus Jason with I knew of the characters but like didn't watch any of the other anything, and it was like, what is happening? Still also not my favorite, but like not terrible.
It wasn't. Not great though.
I mean, yes, which was probably good for me in that it was less. It freaked me out slightly less, but also I wasn't gonna watch that again.
Yes, and The Jaws people did not have to endure Sharknado.
That's fair.
There's that.
That's too
There
many.
is that.
Way too many. Yeah, way too many sharks.
I
No,
have procured my second old fashioned.
no, Manny. The first one wasn't campy, but it got campy.
I
It
think a lot of
progressively got
those,
campy.
I think of 80s slashers largely were in the
Manny got
campy
it. Manny got
group, you know, like,
Manny got it.
Summer
might get
Party
the-
Massacre.
yeah. Oh, man,
Shopping
all
mall.
those shopping
Manny got it.
mall. Oh my
So-
God.
So, Whitney and Doug have prepared for y'all some horror movies that you may have not have heard of, or some that they think are maybe underrated. But I will let them speak to that. Lauren and I have no list because we are not horror people, so we are
I can't
here
help you.
for the good time and to ask timely questions. But before, so to make sure we know where we're at here.
That is a great segue.
It
Darn.
was. I didn't love it. Like I did, but I was like, oh my God, there's so many noises and it's making my heart beat faster.
Your heart
This is
was
how
pumping, wasn't it, Lauren?
Good job. Good job, Greg.
Pump it.
Yeah,
I was like,
went through a couple
very
before that.
afraid
Yeah,
that you would have made a thing at like a jumpy thing at the end. So I was like, let me just back away and put my beverage down.
the beating heart was what got me on that one, because like that's
I'm
a
very
good horror movie is when it gets your, y'all know what I'm talking about. That, like
Soundtrack.
heart starts beating. Doug and I don't need our heart beating that hard. I mean, we're
No.
good, but like
Like just enough beating, just
A little.
little.
but yeah, so we should always be ladies first here, Doug. Sometimes we get off
Absolutely.
the rails here with that. So we're going to let Whitney reveal her list. So Whitney has as you know, as she does with the movies, Whitney had a hard time narrowing it down, y'all.
Sure did.
So,
Sure did.
so Whitney's got 2 lists here.
And you guys
Two.
Dude, I did one. Jesus.
she narrowed
actually-
it down, Doug.
For the record, Doug did 3, but only 1 movie. But that
Yeah,
aside.
I did books and podcasts too.
But no, so Whitney graced us with a great 2 lists. So we'll start with Whitney's. Whitney, how do you want to describe? I wanted to let you and Doug describe what your criteria was for these
You
movies.
first, Whitney.
Right. Are we starting
Yeah.
with honorable mentions or are we doing full list first?
We're gonna do the full list
Full
first, and then
list
your
first,
honorable
okay.
mentions.
So I think we really wanted to try to find either sort of underrated or underwatched or maybe underappreciated horror movies. And I think that is sort of open to interpretation. So with my list, I really, there's a couple on there that you've definitely heard of, or maybe will laugh at the fact that I picked it. But I mean, that's why I wanted to pick them, because there's a lot of redeeming qualities to them that they deserve a second chance or a closer look. Or if you've
Excellent.
never heard of them, to actually check them out.
Awesome. So here they are.
All right. So I'm going to start with number 1. I think most people might have heard of Under the Skin from 2014. It is an incredible movie. It really challenged me. I actually hated it the first time I saw it. And that's why I put on this list, because I couldn't understand it. But then I watched it a couple more times because I like trying to unpack things that I don't quite get. And for me, it's not going to be for everybody. It's very quiet. There's not a lot of dialogue. It's really creepy. But I think it's a beautiful sort of commentary of like what it means to be a woman, what it means to feel like you're not in your own body. It's about, Scarlett Johansson plays an alien who hunts men and eats them basically in this void space. That sounds crazy, but I think it's definitely worth a closer look, or give it another chance, because I certainly gave it a second chance. And then I guess I'll go on to the rest of my list, but Bone Tomahawk, it's this gritty Western. It's sort of like a bleak Western. You don't really tend to mix horror and Western too often, and that's what I really love about this movie. It was made on a really bare bones budget. My dear friend Freddie Woff did the production design of it, and it's completely beautiful. It's Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Richard Jenkins, Sid Haig is in it. It's really, really wild, and there's some really interesting, cool gore. I highly recommend. It's really worth the watch. They did a lot with a little bit of money. And then number 3, Lost Souls. It sort of got caught up in this Y2K devil coming back. There's all this like religious stuff from the 2000s. I don't know if y'all remembered like End of Days with Schwarzenegger, and I'll get to also sort of it's paired with Stigmata. I love Lost Souls. You look at don't watch the trailer. If you're going to see it, don't watch the trailer. It gives too much away. It's really beautiful. It's actually shot by it's directed by Spielberg's longtime cinematographer, Janusz Kaminski. And then you have an amazing Oscar-winning DP, Mario Fori, who shot the movie. So it's one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in a really long time. So I thought it's about the devil coming back to Earth in a body, and Winona Ryder's in it, and Winona Ryder, Ben Chaplin, John Hurt, Philip Baker Hall. It's really an interesting watch. It's kind of a slow burn, but it's really one of the most beautiful movies I've seen in a while. And Stigmata, I remember seeing the Stigmata trailer on every DVD menu that I got in like the early 2000s, and I was too young to see that movie. And I was like, what is it? I just remembered it burned into my head. And I actually finally rewatched it like a few weeks ago. I'd never seen it. Actually, it was my first watch seeing it. And it's really fun. Patricia Arquette and Gabriel Byrne. And it's about a woman who, this atheist woman who starts experiencing stigmata. The production design is insane. It's super wild. It's definitely worth a rewatch. I really had a great time watching it. And it's the same year Gabriel Byrne starred in this and End of Days. No Banana Splits the movie. Unfortunately, not this list. So I really, really enjoyed watching both Lost Souls and Stigmata kind of in tandem. And then my last number 5 is The Faculty, which I think it's such a ridiculous movie, and I think if people know of this movie, they'll like laugh that I picked it. They're like, "Oh, that's that stupid horror movie from 1998." But I rewatched it last year, and it's just so much fun. The cast is totally stacked. I mean, you have R.I.P. Piper Laurie, Jordana Brewster, Josh Hartnett, Salma Hayek, Christopher McDonald, Usher, Jon Stewart, Robert Patrick, Clea Duvall, Bebe Neuwirth, Famke Janssen, Elijah Wood, Lewis Black. Like, what a cast. And it's just like super ridiculous. It's like the late 90s take on The Thing, essentially. And it's just super fun and ridiculous and a really fun time. So that's my list.
What does this mean, Whitney? I don't know what that is. Is that from The Faculty?
That is not, no, that is from Stigmata. I'm trying to remember which scene that was. Daniel, remind me which scene that was. I'm trying to remember. I watched so many movies.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah. Usher was in The Faculty for like 5 seconds, but all
right. Just to put that in perspective, Usher, who doesn't feel like he's that old, was in a movie in 1998. Jesus Christ.
But I mean, I think most people have either heard of all these movies or, maybe probably not Lost Souls.
I've never heard of Bone Tomahawk. So
Bone Tomahawk is super fun. I mean, I'm biased because my dear friend designed it, but it's super fun. It's really gruesome. There's some really cool design elements, and just sort of the bleakness of where one of the scariest things out there is getting a broken leg. You know what I mean? And sort of just what it means to be out in the middle of nowhere with no one coming to get you. And also there's cannibals. So there's that too.
Yeah. That's what Daniel said about it's that part where the character.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the reminder, Daniel. It's such a beautiful movie, and there's some really harrowing and it's shot so beautifully. Patricia Arquette is amazing. I loved it. It was such a fun watch, and yeah, it was the first time I had seen it, which is why I want to like revisit it so I can remember every part again.
So, Whitney, do you want to give Doug to go
Yeah,
and then come back
yeah.
for your honorable mention, or do you want to do your honorable?
Yeah. Go,
Okay.
Doug.
Okay, so
All right,
Doug's
all right.
movies
Go,
are
Doug.
right here. Yes.
All right. I'm going to open a third before we go. Cinegram on French Toast from Pigeon Hill. This is an Imperial Stout. What a freaking label. Look at that stupid label. It's not stupid. It's fucking cool.
That's awesome.
So this one, sorry, I'm going to try to read it. They put it on the one part of it, and I'm trying to remember where it was. Basically, it's an Imperial Stout with maple, cinnamon, and vanilla. They have no listing of what the ABV is, so I have no clue.
It's gonna be
Whitney,
Surprise.
do you do watch parties?
I should. I used to
Ooh,
during the
yeah.
pandemic. It was really fun to like get together, and I just like love chatting. Also, I can be a chatty Cathy when someone wants to hear what I have to say, but it has to be the right moment. I'll shut the
Not
fuck
in the
up when
theater though.
no, not in the theater, but like at home.
Okay.
If it's
Not
something
when people are paying for a show, Greg. Have you learned nothing?
no, I do not talk when I watch a movie unless someone wants me to. Then I will not shut up. But I aim to be silent when I'm watching a movie.
All right. That's very sweet and very stouty and very imperially. So it's very, got to be a high ABV. I don't know what it is.
Trick or
but
Treat is great.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in forever.
It's a good one.
So, Doug, are you ready to reveal?
I am. Let's do
your
it.
list.
Let's do it.
This is the list that Doug has. Doug, what was your criteria in coming up with this?
All right. So mine was a bit of there's an honorable mention one I have that is something probably nobody's seen that I think people should. Most of them are things I think I've seen that I think should get a little more due. And I think probably people have seen most of the ones that I'm going to talk about. First one is Jacob's Ladder. That movie is a complete mind fuck of just, it is frenetic. It is, Tim Robbins stars in it. Basically, it's about the fucking drug test they did on people in Vietnam, like the soldiers in Vietnam, and like how that fucked their brains up, and just, it is a ride and a half. I don't even know how to explain that movie. My God, it is just so it's so all over the place, but not like it's like disorganized. It's just like frenetic is the best word I can use to explain that. It is really, really, really good in that perspective. It's 1990, so the effects aren't great. But I'm going to tell you, just from the perspective of watching, I mean, that was something that happened in Vietnam, is the government gave them drugs and LSD to try to cope with the shit they were going through in Vietnam. So it wasn't like an untrue thing. So yeah, it's freaking great. Frailty is a religious horror movie that this is the first time I ever saw Matthew McConaughey in a movie where I was like, fuck, that is great. And it's Bill Pullman. No, not Bill Pullman. Is it Pullman? Who is the guy in Twister? There's Bill Pullman and there's the other Bill guy who was in Independence Day. And I keep mixing them up.
What, Bill Paxton?
Bill Paxton is the main guy, where basically something happened to him and he starts killing people in the name of God. And it is just bonkers. And Matthew McConaughey makes an appearance in it, and he's fantastic in it. That movie, I cannot recommend that enough. The twist in that is awesome. This one I just recently watched was Mother, and the way they shoot that and the way they utilize noise in that movie, Whitney, I don't know if you've ever seen Mother.
Oh yeah.
The way they shoot that and the way they make noise as part of a part of like an actual character in the movie with the house, like it's literally like a character in it, and the ending is just not something you see coming.
Completely.
And then you're just like, holy shit. And that movie is done by Darren Aronofsky. I don't know if I've ever seen any other of his movies. That's supposed to be his opus, but it's just absolutely stunning. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about that. Train to Busan is a Korean zombie movie, which is by far the best zombie movie I've ever seen.
Oh, 1,000% agree.
It is excellent freaking
So
zombie movie. The way they do zombies, I don't, and you know, it's something. And two of the people in that movie from Train to Busan are in Squid Game, and so like it's just a superbly done zombie movie. If you're into zombie movies, that's a standard for me. I've seen a million zombie movies. None of them have been better than Train to Busan. 1408 is something that I hadn't watched until recently as well, because it's been always one of those, man, I should watch that. Man, I should watch that. Man, I should watch that. And then I never did. And then we were talking about doing this. I'm like, all right, I finally need to watch that. And that movie is excellent. It's an adaptation of a Stephen King short story, which a lot of adaptations of Stephen King's things go just off the rails and aren't good. But they filmed that basically almost completely in one room. And just the idea of how they make that such a good psychological fucking trip. John Cusack's great in it, and Samuel L. Jackson's in that, and they're both awesome. But again, it is interesting because of the way they made that movie. It's just basically there's 4 characters that you're really, there's a few more, but like big characters, but mostly it's just main characters are like 3 or 4, and they film it all in a room. It's really, really, really well done. I really love that movie.
It's a great movie. I did a 1408 themed escape room once, which was terrifying.
Oh, that had to be great.
Oh, it was great. It was super fun. Great picks. I love all of those.
Lauren sounds like you would not enjoy that, Lauren.
I love puzzles and escape rooms and riddle, but like horror themed escape room.
I did 5 of them.
The
scariest one was Silent Hill. I did a Silent Hill themed escape room, and that was very scary.
I don't even know enough to know what that means, but it sounds terrifying, and I already don't like it. Even the ones like I did not do it, but I heard of escape room where there's like a zombie, but then as the time goes by, it like gets more.
The chain gets
like,
longer.
Nope,
yeah,
I don't. Yeah. That sounds horrifying. So nope. But good job to you.
Well, Lauren, you can escape to your next beer.
Oh, I have a second beverage. I feel like there's going to be a love or hate thing for a lot of people, but I got it because the can art and it's seasonal. It is a.
Oh, Ed, you're talking my language, Lauren. Go ahead.
It is a pumpkin ale. I know it's hit and miss, but I got a Cinderella's Revenge.
Great name.
How do I
love the name?
Cinderella's Revenge. I was like, the lighting is terrible here right now.
Yeah.
But and we've got like this glass slipper situation.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like the illustration part. I was like, I love the vibe, and I was like, okay, I have to get this because I'm here. It's a 7.4. It's got a. For what it is, it's like the right color looking vibes. It is more squashy than like sweet and cinnamon and whatever. I don't think I'm as much of a pumpkin ale hater as a lot of people, but it's not necessarily something I'm like excited for every year. But I'm not mad at it. I don't think I'd want it all the time, but it's very drinkable.
That's how I feel about most pumpkin ales. Like I like them, but I don't want them all the time.
You're like, this is good. Okay, I'm done now.
Can I just say that the can art was cool, but I did not like the fonts.
Oh, I was like, how do I
like
get
the
this?
font?
I was like I think it's because it's like supposed to be kind of Disney.
But it's also like the Cinderella slipper, like crystal slipper. Okay,
yeah, it's like a whole thing happening.
I get the design goal, but it looks like
it doesn't translate.
It looks like a movie prop. Like it doesn't look like a real. It looks like a shitty movie prop. You know what I mean?
This is a pretend can of beer.
Yeah, from a low budget movie is what it feels like.
So next time you do a low budget horror movie, Whitney, you need to put that beer in there.
It just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel. I hope it tastes great.
I mean, it's. I mean, again, depending on if you like pumpkin ales and if you do it, it's like it's solid and it's totally drinkable. But yeah, I was like, I mostly like this part of the
that part.
This part, I don't know.
I have a special sweet treat, and they're cookies that Lauren made me.
What kind of cookies are they?
They're chocolate chip and they're amazing. And they've gotten me
Chocolate
through
chip
this
cookies.
week. So thank you again to Lauren for making me amazing
Aw.
Got it in
cookies
time
and
for
sending
the
them to me.
Sometimes there's beer meal and sometimes there's cookie meal.
Yeah.
Um,
Good cookie meal.
Equally
that-
delicious.
that sounds great with an
So,
old fashioned. I mean, anything.
Lauren, I suspect you might have a question, but before that, I'll know Maddie wants to note that the 2016 election was pure horror, and Whitney agrees.
Yeah.
And Lauren, do you have any questions about the list before we go on?
I mean, I guess it's just I kind of have a thing that I noticed, and I'll kind of ask, but it's kind of like two related things in one. But one, I know and understand, even though it's not my realm, that it's hard when you have a passionate love for something. It's hard to narrow down favorites of whatever or top whatever. So good job, Jan, for making choices. But I feel like it's hard because horror can mean a lot of things. Like I don't want gore, but I'm not like, oh my God, I can't do gore. The psychological stuff is the stuff that messes with me. I'm like, nope, don't want that. It's dark and it's scary and there's noises and now I'm overthinking everything. So I'm wondering a little bit, I know that it was like the underrated, less underappreciated things, but if it was hard to compare horror to horror. And also I was just noticing, I might need to see Whitney's list again, but I feel like a lot of them were much more recent movies. And I don't know if that's just like a sign of the times and like, you get like older things are less scary because of the vibe, but there's like a lot of close to
Wait till we get to
1990s.
my honorable mentions. I have a few.
Okay.
But yeah, trying to narrow it. I don't know for you, Doug, but because horror is such a vast genre. I mean, there's so much in there. There's so many things you can choose, and what is underrated and what's underappreciated to one person might be different to someone else. And so, like, I'm looking at my short list right now, which is 25 movies. So it was really hard to narrow it down because there's so many. And then I tried to find different decades too, but I did hover around the like late 90s, early 2000s was sort of where I landed.
I guess in that sort of vein, I am interrupting the question too. So Doug, if you want to answer, you can. But like, is there like in your opinion, like sweet spot of what your type of horror, like decade or like this time frame was like really great for horror?
That's a really good question.
They all kind of have, there's a lot in like, I mean, we're in the continued 2000s, but there's like a lot in like the 2000, 2007, the early teens, some 90, like you both had 90s in there.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering what that might.
I feel like because I became a horror fan in the 90s, so I feel like I have this affinity for 90s and early 2000s horror because it's what I grew up on. And then I filled in from earlier and things that have come out now, but I have this special, I think it's the nostalgia of what I grew up loving and why Scream is my favorite horror movie. So everything sort of, goes, fans out from there. So Scream is my number one. And then I don't know how it is for you, Doug.
No, it's kind of, so mine was kind of all over the place though. So, but I was into horror when I was a kid. Like I started reading horror books when I was like 8 because I was a voracious reader when I was a kid because we had no social media or any kind of shit like that. So my thing was like I was going to play basketball or read. Those were the two things I was going to do.
Sounds like me and Lauren.
We're the same, but I grew up very different after that.
But I would read I read a lot of Stephen King and like way too early. Like Pet Sematary was my first Stephen King book, and that book fucked me up.
Yeah.
But there's the thing is I tend to, if I'm going to look at things, a lot of times I will go with something more recent just because the technology is so much better. But
like how we've gotten here.
Yeah, how we've gotten here. So like you look at something like, I remember being the Terminator, like for instance, as an action movie being like, holy fuck, like what is this? And the technology at it was like so far advanced. You watch it now, it looks like somebody did that with like construction paper. Like it just doesn't look like very realistic, but back then it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Whitney's point is like, all right, what was your sweet spot in like your teens and early 20s? And I think you do that with music. Like you have kind of a sweet spot where it's like, oh, well, that's kind of where I was growing up, where I was developing, where I was kind of really getting into what what spoke to me and what my tastes were. Like when you're 12, your tastes are shit because you don't know what the hell else is out there. That's not an insult to 12-year-olds. Your brain is like not formed. You're like, you don't know. Like, so like, I tried to be like Jacob's Ladder is just like, for instance, I'm going to use that as an example. If you look at that now, that looks kind of like not great. Like from a visual perspective, like as far as special effects, the way they film it is fantastic. And it is just really, really kind of a mind fuck. That's really great. But I don't know. I don't really have a time frame. Like the problem for me is I look at something like from the 70s, like The Exorcist. If I watch it now, it's really kind of slow. But again, that's how movies were paced then. Like people didn't pace shit fast. You couldn't pace it. Everybody wanted sort of a story build. Now everybody wants everything very fast. So like it's a different sort of perspective. I don't know. So like even something like I said, I listened to Train to Busan. I think that was 2017. That was 6 years ago. From 6 years doesn't seem like a long time. In movies and the way things adapt and move and change, that's an eternity. So yeah, it's just different. I do want to make one comment for Whitney's list. I watched Under the Skin as well because I was like, well, I had heard that good things and I watched it. I did not like that movie, and it was my first watch.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
But it's not for everybody, but also, you know, I hated it the first time I saw it too.
But I think also the idea is like I'm watching that as a male. I get the idea. This is how women walk through the world. Yeah. Like I understand it. It's not that I don't understand it. It's just, that wasn't the part. It was just I actually liked the part that it was very little dialogue. I think that the way you can shoot things and make like the way they shot it was really great. And he shot it in Scotland, I think, which is like one of my favorite countries on the fucking planet. And so the visuals were great.
There. Yeah.
You live there and I'm goddamn jealous. If I could move to anywhere in the world, that would be where I would move. Oh. But there was just, I don't know. I didn't like the way they got to the ending. I didn't really like, but again, maybe it's just because I just watched it once and it just hit me weird. And
that's what happened to me.
What changed in your second watch?
For me, it was really digging into, because there's not a lot of dialogue and you really have to read between the lines for a lot of the movie. And it's based on a book. And so I read the novel and then watched the movie again. And then it helps sort of bridge the gap. But also like as a woman in this world and a lot of the way that these men treat our, you know, main character, and like speaking as someone as a sexual assault survivor and all the things that, you know, I've experienced in my life. And I think it spoke to me in a lot of different themes, like really digging into, you know, what she's going through. She is an alien after all, so there's differences there. But no, it's just an interesting, I keep unpacking it each time I watch it. So I think it's a fascinating film.
But I think also it was a little unnerving just from the perspective, like A24 like makes really great movies. And that one just seemed like such a miss for me. But I think I need to rewatch it again just to kind of maybe I just, you're saying you hated it the first time and then you kind of got it more going along, makes me want to rewatch it. And I will say very much, I am not a person who watches very much at all. So like, that's the idea is like when you said you watch a horror movie 3 times, I don't watch hardly anything 3 times.
Right. And I'm a serial rewatcher.
I hardly watch any, even things I really fucking love. Like for instance, I'll give you, I loved Game of Thrones. I have watched that through once. I have never watched it again. And it's not because I don't love it. It's because there's a million things to watch. And it's the same with books. Like, fuck, there's 50,000 things I want to read. Why am I going to reread something I read already when there's all these options? Like it's a weird thing. But what's interesting is when it comes to music, I'm the exact opposite. I know what I like.
Put on repeat. And like I'm a creature of habit, and I have my creature comforts. And I think because I don't have control in so much of my life. Like I don't control where I go for a job. I don't control when I get a job. I don't like, there's so much that's out of control in my life. So if I can just put on my favorite movie or, you know, rewatch this thing, I know exactly what I'm going to get. And there's something really comforting about that to me. And that's why I rewatch.
It's not comforting to me. It's not, it's weird. Like that's not comforting me. I know what's going to happen.
Lauren,
but like my wife and some of my kids are like that. They rewatch a bunch of things, like rewatch them all the time, and I just don't like. There's 5 gazillion options. Like, why are you watching? Well, it's a comfort to
I
me.
get
And I'm
that.
like,
I totally get that.
Lauren, you had an. I'm sorry. Go, Doug.
Go ahead. No,
Lauren, you had an inquisitive look on your face at one point. I didn't know if you had a question.
Maybe it might be gone now. It'll come back. I was like, when did that happen? I was engrossed in the conversation.
No worries. Did you know that Michael Jackson was going to be in one of the Friday the 13th?
I did not know that.
I did not know that either.
Like,
I don't know if this is a joke or not, or he's going to play Jason Voorhees. I think that's a joke. I think it was a joke.
Oh, Art. That's our guy, Art Eddie, that I was talking about earlier. You fucking Art.
Got us. Dang it. Of course it's a dad.
Fucking.
Has anybody seen the anime movie Perfect Blue?
Oh, no.
I haven't.
Nope.
Tell us, Daniel. Tell us about it. It's a pretty tight horror base. I've been meaning to rewatch it.
Our guy Daniel is big into anime, so I don't know that one.
Manny says he needs to watch that. Manny also says that Japanese and Korean horrors are where it's at right now.
They're having a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they weren't before, but like here.
There's so many good ones.
And that's the thing is, and now that people are willing to watch things with subtitles a lot more, I think that's also contributing to that. So
yeah, my favorite's Old Boy.
I haven't watched it yet, but I need to.
Whitney commented, when that's why I was like, Whitney, are you sure you're not talking in the movies, are you?
No,
yeah, you already
I do.
it.
Yeah, I do commentary. So I actually recently did a podcast where we watched the movie Speed and did a fan commentary of Speed.
That's fun.
That had to be fun.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I was, as Lauren can attest, Keanu was one of my number one guys that I was obsessed with in high school. So I had like every Keanu movie.
Have you ever been fortunate enough to work with him?
No, I haven't, but I have met my number one movie crush from high school, Ewan McGregor.
Who was in the worst movie I've ever seen?
Which one?
Eye of the Beholder.
Oh, I have it on DVD.
That movie fucking sucks.
It's terrible.
I watched it. And I was like, this, and it was one of these movies you watch it and you're like, this has to get better. Like it's got Ashley Judd and Ewan McGregor, and it's just terrible all the way through it. I got to the end, I was like, God damn it, I wasted nearly 2 hours of my life on them.
I was so in love with Ewan McGregor, I bought it anyway. I have it on DVD still.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just telling you that movie made me mad when I was done.
Oh, it's bad. Oh, horrible.
That's one of the same reasons why I was just like, I feel like I need to have trustworthy sources to tell me about it, because there's so much content out there. And I was like, I don't want to like pay a bunch of money and then sit for 2.5 hours for a shitty movie. Like, someone tell me if it's good and worthwhile, and then I'll go see it.
But yeah, commentary wise, I only talk during a movie when it's on purpose.
Well, Manny takes this shit seriously, apparently, because
I'm with her. I would do the same thing. I would do the same.
All right. Well, what you're going to do now is talk about your honorary list. Because we couldn't narrow it down to just 5. It would not ever work that way with our friend Whitney. It's just not going to be that way.
No.
So, Whitney, did you have the same criteria for your first list as you have for the second one?
This was just sort of I wanted to find a few older movies. So I have 2 that are mine because I'm very proud of them. One that's recent, and then a few from that people should check out that are older. So my 2 movies, The Eyes of My Mother and Piercing, they both were super small, low budget features, but they're some of the projects I am most proud of. And The Eyes of My Mother, it's a black and white horror movie. It's actually the first movie I ever designed myself, which is very exciting, but it is psychologically disturbing. It's definitely not a Lauren movie.
Yep.
But I've never had more fun making a film, and it is really fucked up. It's a short movie. I think it's only 72 minutes, but I think one of the great critic quotes from it is that it crawls into your subconscious and lingers there. But it's sort of It is set in the past, so it's sort of the 70s to the 90s. So I highly recommend it. Check it out. If you go to my Instagram, I have my horror movie marathon page will tell you where to find it. And then
Okay.
the other one, Piercing, it is based on a Ryu Murakami novel, and it's with the same director of Eyes of My Mother, Nicholas Pesh, who's incredible, and I love him so much. And it is a homage to Giallo horror film, so Italian horror films of the 1970s. It's very much in that vibe. It's very funny. It's like a black horror comedy. It's very funny, in a fucked up way. But it's kind of a two-hander between Christopher Abbott and Mia Wasikowska. Basically, the logline is a man kisses his wife and baby goodbye and seemingly heads away on business with a plan to check into a hotel, call an escort service, and kill an unsuspecting prostitute. Sex worker is what it should be. So that's the logline, and he does not know what he has signed up for when Jackie arrives. So it's a pretty wild movie. Again, I am so proud of these two, so I hope that you guys will check them out. And then my other couple, so Nanny is a horror movie that came out at Sundance last year. My friend Charlize Antoinette Jones designed the costumes. It is such a great movie. It's about an immigrant named Aisha who has just moved to New York City for caring for a white child of an Upper East Side family, and is forced to confront a concealed truth that threatens to shatter the precarious American dream. And there's these incredible dream sequences. It's just a stunning, beautiful movie. I highly recommend it. I couldn't put it on my list because it's not technically underrated because it's getting a Criterion release and it was really well regarded, but it was a small release, so I hope people check it out. And then a couple of really, older films that are worth checking out: Eyes Without a Face, Repulsion, and Cat People. I mean, if you want to check out a movie from the 40s, a horror movie from the 40s, check out Cat People. And I'll also shout out all the Dracula movies from the 30s. Like anything from the 30s, like go see all those movies. They're great.
Yeah, so now I have things to watch. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay.
Awesome.
And they'll be new to Doug, so he'll be into it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I hope that was a fun list for people.
I have a sort of follow-up question to relating to something that Doug said from his original list, and then what you were talking about with Eyes of My Mother being in black and white, and that just when there's like plot lines and visuals and stuff like that of a horror movie, whatever it may be, but then when there's like that layer of I don't remember which movie, but Doug talked about something like the sound of a house or something being like a character.
Oh, that was Mother.
When there's
Mother.
And when there's like movies that have like a lack of sound that like becomes part of it. And then Whitney, with your honorable mention list, how Eyes of My Mother is more modern, like it was made modern day, but was in black and white, and like how that kind of like what that adds,
right,
and layer to everything.
And especially that being my first movie that I designed. So it's set from the 70s to the 90s. So I already was working with a little bit of a period aspect, but which black and white, what type of black and white? So I had to work closely with my cinematographer, Zach, and he showed me which. So I got my phone out and we picked which iPhone filter on the camera was the right black and white.
Oh,
so when I
check stuff.
So when I went shopping for my clothes, I held the camera over everything to see what it looked like in that black and white tone. And so all these bright colors looked super boring and nothing. So I really prioritized high contrast patterns and textures, like really like wovens and all sorts of interesting 3D textures. So that was a really fun additional like challenge on top of, just designing a movie.
That's super interesting because like I back in the day came from like design and architecture things. So like I totally understand, like, yeah, there's like 100 kinds of white, but having to use a colorful world, like back in the day when film and TV was just in black and white, and you have to like make choices
And
for what looks good in black and white.
because we filmed it in color, so like there's a color mix out there of it, but it looks crazy because
You're like, what is happening?
the color story makes zero sense because of course
that's
we
not
weren't
part of
doing
it.
that. I will share a little anecdote from I have a movie coming out next year. It's called The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat, and it's the friendship drama set from 1950 to 1999. There was this one, we were doing this photo section where we were taking pictures of this character, how she was as a showgirl in the 20s. And the production, the art department is like, no, it's definitely going to be black and white. I was like, great. Did the whole costume setup, took the photos. I walk into the house where all these photos were going to be. They're all in full color. And I had put the showgirl costume together without regard to color, because I thought it was going to be black and white. And it was not what I expected. But everyone loved it and everyone's happy. I had to get over myself. I had to get over that's not what I wanted it to be. But everyone was so happy with the color choices, including the director, including the studio. So I was outvoted. So I have to recognize when sometimes I'm wrong. Even the thing that I want maybe isn't the right thing. So that was a good lesson.
Learning practice. Yeah. But yeah, man, color and black and white, like that's a whole nother level of sense. I guess it's like the sensory fact of horror, right? Because there's the visuals, the pauses or not, sound. Like
also in Eyes of My Mother, you think there's a lot of gore in that movie. We cut away where we make your imagination think it.
Oh no.
So it feels so much gorier and scarier than it actually is because the way it's been edited.
Filming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh God. That sounds awesome and terrible for me. Yeah. But great. Like cool, but not for me.
And Daniel, no matter what you think you have control, like there's so many situations that are out. You can prepare as much as you want and you can work for months and months and months and it still won't be what you expected. And like, I love our art director who made the choice to put all those things in color. She forgot to tell me. She's like, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you.
Like that would have been helpful.
That would have been helpful. But she was right. She was totally right. And it was just a really funny situation where I was shocked when I walked into the house. Literally 30 photos framed on the wall everywhere in this house. Oh no.
I made a horrible mistake.
Oh no. It's not what I intended.
Everyone loves it.
Yeah. So, sometimes that's why I love working in film, because it's a collaborative art. I'm not just designing in a vacuum or working with other people who maybe are sometimes smarter than me, and you have to take cues off of them and learn when you're wrong or you need to listen to someone else. So that was a really fun experience.
I love that you shared that, honestly.
No, that was great. And this is why we have you around, Lauren, because you're way more astute at this than
I do what I can.
So I got a question for y'all. If y'all don't have any follow-ups on Whitney's honorable mention list, Doug, do you have something?
No, go ahead, because I got my honorable mention list. It's only 3; it's not 5. So.
Oh, cool. I didn't make a graphic for that, unfortunately.
No, you don't have. I didn't realize it. I just thought of it. So yes.
Oh, it happened right now.
I have links for all 3, so it's fine.
Okay, so let's do that before we get to my question, which will derail us a little bit.
Okay.
It'll derail us a lot, actually.
That's fine. So my first one is something called Identity, which is John Cusack. Ray Liotta was in it. My guy, this is the dude here, Taylor Pruitt Vince. I never remember his name. He is great in everything he's in. He's a guy that he has a condition where his eyes move like this the entire time. That's actually a medical condition he has, and it makes him look super fucking creepy in this movie.
I love this movie. Love.
It's a great movie. It's not like a classic horror to me, but it's really, really fucking great. It's just a really great movie. That is one. I like I said, 10 strangers up in a hotel on a rainy night, and they're all getting killed off one by one. It's like almost like a whodunit of people dying. So yeah. The next one I'm going to give you If you can hold on just a moment. This is actually a black and white movie too.
Newer,
This
but black and white.
it is The Lighthouse.
Ah, great movie.
This
Actually,
movie
was talking
is
about it earlier today.
this is superbly shot. It's Robert Pattinson. It's Willem Dafoe. Almost that's the entire movie. It's so fucking good by Robert Eggers. The way they shoot it, it's just really, really super good. Another one by A24. I have an affinity for A24 horror movies. That's the way they do them because there's a lot of thought that goes into it for me. I mean, just personally, but that's a preference. Like I like things we didn't talk about, which aren't underrated, but like people always like talk about Hereditary, and I am much more of a Midsummer person. Midsummer fucked me up. Midsummer fucked me up for like a week. Like
I prefer Midsummer to, I prefer Midsummer.
Midsummer just it is so weird. Like Hereditary is really weird and it's really great, but like I don't know how to explain just how much that stayed in my brain.
Well, and
like,
daylight horror is so difficult to pull off.
That's the thing. It's all in the day, which you never see in horror movies hardly at all.
And it's terrifying. And
that feels
it's
like my worst nightmare, maybe.
It's also the design of that movie is impeccable. Incredible.
Yeah, for sure. And the ending is really great.
Oh, you have one more, right, Doug?
Yeah, I do. This is one that I'm not sure many people have seen. This is one that flew under my radar and I watched it recently, like literally within the past 2 weeks. And I just think people should watch it. It is something called Hippopotamus.
Oh, I've not seen this.
So this is it's basically like the premise is Ruby, this lady wakes up from a bad dream into a real life nightmare. So basically she's trapped in a basement and her legs are broken and she can't remember who she is. So this guy says, you will stay here until you fall in love with me.
Wow.
And that is the premise of the whole movie. And it's short. It's 78 minutes.
Oh, nice. I love it.
Look at Lauren and I's faces.
I'm gonna check that out, Doug. Thank you.
And I think it's a Scandinavian movie, but like it's so freaking good. And I just was like really surprised at how much I liked it.
I'm good. Lauren and I had the same like that's
like
creepy
no
and weird and no and no and no and no and double no, right, Lauren?
I don't know who has the question in the comments, but I can
Yeah. We'll get that. I just wanted to make sure. Yep. We'll get that. I think that's right, Doug.
Yes, it is.
Pardon me if you mentioned it already, but you since I've came late to the party, Whitney, which movie gets you every time when it comes on TV in terms of wardrobe design? One that you always marvel at the costumes.
Well, I have two, and the first one is my favorite movie, Moulin Rouge. I've seen it over 300 times. That is the reason I became a costume designer. One of the reasons I became a costume designer was Moulin Rouge. I've seen it. It is my number one comfort movie. Lauren can attest, when I was sick in the hospital and maybe dying and, had to get all my organs harvested, basically. I watched that movie every day for like 6 months and it saved my life mentally. When you are almost you feel like you're dying, and you grasp onto something, Moulin Rouge was it for me. And watching that movie every day and escaping to this other world. I mean, that's why I like movies so much, is that you can escape your daily life and you can run away from your struggles for 2 hours. There's something so amazing about that. And so that movie was everything to me, and the design of that. And then, the designer, Catherine Martin, and director Baz Luhrmann, I worked for 8 years. So getting to tell them how much that movie changed my life. And then getting to learn from them for almost a decade was pretty incredible. And then the number two is, the not being in the hospital part, not great, but like getting to tell Baz Luhrmann and Catherine Martin that they saved my life, and then getting to learn from them for 10 years was pretty fucking cool. And then the last thing I did with Baz and Sam was a billionaire's birthday party where I got to co-design a Moulin Rouge themed thing. I can't say any more than that because I signed an NDA, but getting to co-design Moulin Rouge stuff with Sam and Baz was pretty awesome. And so the other one is horror themed. is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I knew it.
Yep, it is.
I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah,
on the
that's
stream.
I should have mentioned this. This is the movie I've probably seen 10 to 15 times. It's one of my favorite horror movies. The visuals are insane. The designer Aiko Ishioka is one of the greatest costume designers who ever lived. I actually got to work with her for a bit. I was her personal tailor. I made her clothes and I got to hang out in her apartment. And after we would finish our work for the day, she would make me a pot of green tea and we'd sit at her kitchen table and she'd tell me stories from Dracula. And it was kind of the coolest thing that's ever happened.
Just kinda.
Yeah. And so I, Aiko, she is a legend. She was, look her up if you don't know her work. She was one of the most brilliant artists to ever lived. She did everything, from the Japanese poster of, Apocalypse Now to The Fall, to The Cell, to Bram Stoker's Dracula, where she won her Oscar. She's a legend. So Bram Stoker's Dracula, those costumes, I did a deep dive on my
Yes,
blog.
I was going to bring that up.
But my blog is down for now.
No.
I will get it back up at some point soon. But I did a 80-page deep dive into those costumes. So I highly recommend checking out Bram Stoker's Dracula. I watched it every Valentine's Day because it feels like a Valentine's Day movie to me.
Okay. This was in reference to that hippopotamus lady.
Daniel.
I'm going to tell you, just if you want something that's a quick, satisfying horror movie, if you like that sort of thing, that's a really great one. I'm very surprised how much I enjoyed it. Somebody pointed out, there's a guy I follow on TikTok who does a lot of horror reviews, and he said this is just something I stumbled upon and it's so great. And I was like, cool, it's short. If I watch it and I don't like it, it was an hour and 15 minutes. Okay?
You're not so mad.
Yeah. It's when something's like, hey, you've seen that, Manny. It's really good, right? Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. So I recommend that one if you haven't. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. All right. So when any of you load up a movie and you want to see a movie, do you look at the time and go, that's a lot? I don't know if I want to invest that much time in a movie. Like, how do you see it? Because I struggle with that. Like, if it's over 2 hours, I struggle with sitting down and watching.
Depends where I am. If I'm in the movie theater, no problem. Like, I actually a couple hours ago got back from Killers of the Flower Moon. That's 3.5 hours. So
what?
I did that today.
No.
And I just made sure I didn't have fluids for 5 hours before I went.
Gotta prepare.
I prepared well, but it didn't feel like 3.5. With previews, it was 4 hours. So I was sitting there for 4 hours, but didn't feel it. But when I'm at home, I have to plan. So I put my phone in my bedroom, I plug it in, I turn on Do Not Disturb. I get, all settled on the couch, and then I turn it on and I try not to look at the length because I want to just be in the moment. That's how I do it. But that's me.
I'm sorry, Manny.
Oh, what is it? Also, a different way to prepare.
And listen, as a fellow old person, there's an app you can get where it gives you the right time to take pee breaks at a movie. And that is
when this is on screen.
It's at this moment, go, and I need that because I'm on meds that make me pee a lot, and it's just like I have to go pee. I can't sit there for 4 hours.
Yeah.
So
can we stop talking about you peeing?
Sure.
Excellent.
I do highly recommend Killers of the Flower Moon, by the way. It was fantastic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I struggle with Scorsese, but yes.
Yeah, so this, y'all. All the horror movies that I've watched, Lauren, have taught me anything, is that
I was like, of all of the ones that I've watched, let me the list of like 10. Of all of the ones I mean, Okay, they're all of the tropes, right? Where I'm like, you better
Right.
put in contacts, have a flashlight nearby or your phone that's charged because the lights are going to go out and you're going to be fucked. Like, don't go investigate that
Right.
sound. That's dumb. Keep your
Right.
back to the wall. Don't trust anybody.
Right. I agree with all those.
I was
Don't
like,
have
no,
sex. Don't have sex.
just generally.
You're gonna get
I was
killed.
I was
Oh.
gonna say
I didn't
I
watch
learned not to be black. So there we go.
That's a tough lesson to learn.
I have a movie where they talk about the black character dying, and she doesn't. So
Oh, I need to see that one.
that's
and then,
Which
freaky.
one?
Freaky.
and then
Freaky.
Doug said
Oh, yeah.
Get Out's a classic one. He made it
Yep.
through. Sorry, spoiler alert. But you
Get
should've-
Out is great.
Oh my God.
y'all
can I-
should have saw that shit already, by the way.
Okay,
Sorry.
so super tangent side note, unrelated to
Yeah.
this, but other things. Greg apparently used to watch Freaky because of the black person survived. But also, I don't remember
You
who said this
spoiled
before.
it.
Well, just
It's-
I mean, not.
I gotta
It's
say,
fine. It's fine. It's good.
if you do, yeah,
But you should also watch it because Miss Whitney has a cameo.
I do. I am in Freaky. I am
It's great.
Doris the lunch lady, slinging hamburger buns and running away screaming from Vince Vaughn.
It's worth watching for.
I got to
that.
design my own
Oh my-
costume for the first time ever.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
But especially because I know her, I was like, oh my God, this is.
I had to do ADR screaming. I had to do voice memo screaming because my scream on set wasn't long enough because you can see me running through
Like,
the
in the
cafeteria
background.
for like 10,
A
15
while.
seconds. So I had to kick everyone off my costume truck on my movie 3 months and do voice memos of me screaming.
I wish there was footage of you doing that.
I was so embarrassed. I was like, everyone needs to leave right now.
Movie magic,
That's
everyone.
But yeah,
That's it.
check me out.
Okay,
Yeah, it's true.
you gotta be. If you're famous enough, you're fine. Maybe.
What were you gonna say, Whitney, before this silly
Oh, no,
comment
just,
from Rod?
check out my Doris the lunch lady cameo. It's
Freaky.
very silly.
Freaky.
I also have a
You-
small cameo in We Have a Ghost. I'm a
It's sneaky.
CIA agent at the very end of the movie.
Do you know where so I Have a Ghost is Netflix. So you know where
Yeah.
Freaky is?
Freaky is all over the place. Actually, let me pull out my handy dandy
Movie
cheat sheet.
marathon moment.
Movie
Okay.
marathon sheet that I
Cool,
made.
Cool. So Doug, did you have an answer for this one? Why
I said
Whitney?
just don't have sex.
because
It's always
you're gonna
get-
the
Does
slasher
that really
movies.
happen that
Hey,
often?
Yes, and
I
slasher
don't
movies
like-
all the time. Like if you're in a
Specifically
slasher movie
in the backseat of
specifically.
the car, in the backseat of the car,
Yeah,
in the
if you're-
woods.
Yeah, or if you're in some bedroom at a party, like a slasher, like just don't do it. And it's always some just fucking dumb.
So
Hey,
the
I'm a
slasher
stud
murder
guy.
people
Like,
have a little kink side, apparently.
And for me, I'm going to say, as Sydney Prescott says, like, don't run up the stairs, walk out the front door. Run out the front door.
you remember? Have you seen that one commercial for like it's an insurance thing where the kids
Psycho.
are like,
Yes.
yeah, where they're like, oh, well, let's go in that garage where all the sharp hanging objects
Yeah.
are like, smart. Why don't we get in a running car? No, that's too
No.
obvious. Let's go. And I'm like, that is exactly
And
every
the
80s
killer's
horror
like
movie.
in the back of the garage.
Like, just
being
rolling his
"These
eyes."
Idiots. I have where Freaky is. So Freaky is on, you can rent on Apple TV, Amazon, DirecTV, Spectrum, Vudu, YouTube, Freevee, Redbox, and what are the other two? AMC On Demand and FlixFling.
FlixFling. I've never heard of that.
Okay.
All those
All right.
places.
All right. So we got all this out. We're good. Okay, cool. I just wanted to use that graphic. I'm kind of proud of it.
That was
It's
a
a
great
great graphic. Loved it.
It was good
Yes,
stuff.
spooky house.
I was
Yeah,
trying to
well-
freak out. I was trying to freak out Lauren with all these graphics.
I
and
was
both the work
luckily
that I-
very distracted. I was like, let me really focus on all of these words. There's
Lauren-
many
Now
words
look at
to
the
read.
spooky
Lauren,
house.
did the background scare you? Did you see it?
On the second look, yes, I was like, no, that's definitely a house that I would cross the street and not
What-
walk directly in front of that house.
What about the background here? Did you actually see it before we got on the
this one?
screen?
I feel like we're covering the scarier part.
Okay,
So it's
well,
like woods on the sides, right? Who is that? I don't like it. It's you're in the middle of the woods. It's like you're just by yourself, isolated.
By the way, that would be me in the woods. I would love
Why?
that.
no.
Oh my
no.
God, no way.
Because I'm a dumb white guy. That's why.
I mean, okay.
Right.
You'd
That's a
probably
great
make it to the
answer.
end of the movie.
Yeah, correct.
I would die
Correct.
in a movie because I'm like, this is really cool. I'm in the woods with the
Oh my
fog.
God.
Like, awesome.
Like, Doug, come back.
No,
Nope.
Manny,
Just
why? Why? No. I
No.
wanted nothing to do with that house.
No, thank you.
I don't
No.
even.
I'll pass.
No.
No,
That house
I
was
don't even know.
not cool. There's
But yeah,
nothing
I don't-
cool about that house.
I'm
Right.
I'm very affected by the sense, like the visuals, the sounds, the things. I'm like, nope, everything looks creepy. Nothing has, like, it could be nothing happening, but if the scene is set correctly, I don't want any part of it.
Right. The Amityville house was not. No, that was not. Oh, Manny says.
Oh, so it's fine. It's fine. You're half fine.
You're
I
half
mean,
nut.
that explains a lot. So yeah. I'm
Honestly,
good at
all
being home right now.
Hey, when are you going to order some burgers there, Daniel? We know that's coming.
Whitney, you had something to say?
oh no, I just all the white people in every movie are just so stupid.
I roll, right, but they
Yeah.
get by though.
They
So
do, unfortunately.
what we're not going to eye roll is Doug made a list for us for books. Before we get there, Whitney, do you jump into books? I know you spend a lot of time obviously working and
I
then
do.
movies. So do you ever jump off to like books? And is it because is it movie related?
I don't. I used to. My story is that when I was reading in middle school, we had like a sheet where we had to like log all the books that we read to prove we were reading. I read like every Christopher Pike and every teenage slasher novel that existed, and I logged all of them. So I read the most out of the entire class, but my teacher was terrified and called a parent-teacher conference with my parents to be like, do you know what she's reading? And my parents are like, well, she's reading, right? What's the issue? So I started out
As my parents
as a
do.
teenage, slasher horror novel fan. But these days, I have such limited time. I have to pick what I do. And so I only movie watch. And the only books that I read are like popcorn rom-com novels to turn my brain off. That's about it.
That's cool. That makes sense. That's cool. Doug has a list of books. Doug, what was your criteria for this?
This is just great horror books. And I'm not looking for, and I did kind of underrated, like things that people might not have heard of. So that was my criteria for it. So the first one is Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. That is the most fucking awesome horror book I've read in the past 10 to 15 years. It is unbelievably good. There's a twist at the end that is interpretable in so many ways. And my friend Renee, who does the Cult Bar podcast, knows Paul and asked him what the ending was. And he goes, I'm not telling you that. You got to figure that out yourself. He wouldn't give her what the ending meant. Like, that's how fucking great that book is. Like, just so good. Children of Red Peak is religious horror in just a fucking just bizarre, awesome way. A friend of mine recommended that, and I read it, and I was like, holy shit. Like, that was just a phenomenal book. 14 by Peter Clines is a modern Lovecraftian horror book where it's basically a room and involves Nikola Tesla. It's like, it's all over the place in such a good way. Book of M by Peng Shepherd I cannot recommend that book enough. It is just, I can't even give you a genre. It's not a genre. It's just sort of weirdly terrifying book that is just, it's sort of apocalyptic, but it's not. And it's like just these choices these people make. And it was her first book. Like, that was her first book. And I was like, my word, like, it's breathtakingly good. The Girl with All the Gifts is basically a zombie book, but from the perspective of zombies. It was made into a movie. The movie was not great, but the book is phenomenal by M.R. Carey. That is just a really great book. But if you pick any of these, read the first two. Those things are just unbelievably great.
Awesome.
I have an unfair question.
Sure.
Personal preference, Doug.
Mhm.
Do you feel like horror movies versus horror books get like you either like more or lean more, or like get you more? Movie versus book?
Books more.
Books more?
It depends. It depends because if it's a movie based on a book, then I want to read the book first and I want to see what the interpretation of the movie is. I am not a person that gets mad at interpretation of movies too often.
Because they're totally different.
Because you can't put everything in a book in a movie. It's fucking impossible. Like it's just literally impossible. Like I can see
builds are also different.
like why I didn't care for The Shining as a movie, but I understand why Kubrick kind of focused the way he did, because it needed to be a narrow focus, because the book has a lot of fantastical elements to it that you could not put in a movie. It just wouldn't work. So I understand that. There's very few books. There's very few movies that I think exceed the books. Fight Club is a huge example of that, because the way they filmed that and the way they made it, even Chuck Palahniuk was like, that movie's way better than the book. The author was like, that movie is better than what I wrote.
I think same with American Psycho, I think, as well.
Yeah. I read that book. It was not great, but the movie was really fucking great.
Amazing. And directed by a woman, which I love.
No, I didn't know that, but that makes it even more awesome. So go ahead, Whitney.
No, The Shining. Did you read Dr. Sleep? Like, what do you think about that movie in the book?
I did not read the book. I actually watched the movie, and I thought the movie was 50 times better than The Shining.
Oh, I love and what Mike Flanagan did is like walk this tightrope of pleasing both Stephen King and making a sequel to The Shining, which felt like an impossible task, and he nailed it. And I think that's really exciting that he made both Stephen King happy and the fans of The Shining happy. And then also, go for it.
No, I was going to say Sarah Ferguson in it, just
amazing.
Her character was
amazing.
Ewan McGregor was in that too, so I'm sure you watched it.
My fave.
That movie.
I feel like Doug's gonna think that every time he sees him now.
I mean, Lauren has been with me through my most embarrassing moments of my life, and when we went to I got a henna tattoo of Great America. I got a henna tattoo that said Ewan.
Yeah.
So we've been through it together. She knows how much I love him.
I took that from a disposable camera.
Yeah.
Dr. Sleep was actually one of the ones where I was like kind of debating whether to put that in the underrated category, but a lot of people really love Dr. Sleep, so I didn't really think it qualified.
Great movie. And then I'm just sort of thinking out of a Shining adaptation. Did you see Ready Player One, that movie?
Yes.
I loved the book, hated the movie, but because the Shining bit was not in the book. It was only in the movie adaptation.
No, it was only in the movie. But I understand why they did that, because it would have been impossible to do all the 80s references.
Oh yeah. All the stuff in the book you can't put in a movie. But I still was disappointed anyway.
Yeah, I what was funny is my son read the book and was like furious at the movie. And I was like, what's interesting is because I looked at it and went, yeah, I get it. Would I have done it that way? No, but I'm not a movie director. But I get why they do it, because it'd been just impossible to fill the screen with all the 80s references just from the IP of just getting the IP, just getting the intellectual property.
Impossible. I think that's what a lot of people too don't recognize. And I recognize that my hatred is unwarranted and unfounded, because what is in the book is impossible to do in a movie, and I have to deal with that stuff all the time, where the movie I did last year, it's based on a novel, and you have to adapt and you have to change it. Okay, there's certain things that I can and can't do, and you have to get everything approved, and it's a whole process. And like my movie 3 months, I wanted to use a Rumors TV Rumors shirt from the Stevie Nicks Fleetwood Mac album, and I had to get a letter. Stevie Nicks basically sent me an email saying, I won't sue you if you use this t-shirt. But the amount of things that you have to do in order to get things cleared is impossible. So there's so much from books that you cannot adapt.
Yeah, there's one that I will say that I can't forgive. There's one movie adaptation I cannot forgive for sure, and it's Dark Tower.
Mm,
The
I
Dark
haven't seen
Tower
it.
movie. The Dark Tower movie was an atrocity for what
You like really love that book though, right?
the books I loved. And I've thought, well, I'll give my wife and I went to the now. My wife loves the movie loves the books way more than me. When we were together, when we first got together, I loved a book series called The Necroscope, and which was like 13 books long. And she loved The Dark Tower. And I said, all right, well, let's read each other's series. We hadn't read them. And I fucking love The Dark Tower. And she liked The Necroscope. We went and saw the Dark Tower movie, and she walked out of the movie just fucking furious. I have never seen her more angry in my life. I have been married to her for fucking 12 years. I have been with her for nearly 14. I have never seen her more angry.
Oh.
And that is something. It was a
That's
movie
saying
that made her
something,
that angry.
right?
And she was just like that. And then so like the scuttlebutt of Mike Flanagan, who did a lot of different things, is supposed to be making a Dark Tower series. And considering he did Gerald's Game and all these other and he did the Gerald's Game adaptation.
That was on my short list. The Gerald's Game was on my short list.
It was so fucking good. It was so good. And
Yep.
it was probably the best King adaptation I've seen.
I agree.
Yeah, I did give her my honest opinion, Art, and I said I didn't think that was very good at all. But she was like livid with it. She was way beyond a level of how I'm like, that sucked. That was not good. And my wife was like, why? Like she walking out of the theater and just like furious. And I was like, people are going to think you're mad at me. So yeah. Well, she's not often mad at me. So generally, I'm a decent husband. Not all the time, but most of the time.
It was a joke, Doug. Chill, he says.
Yeah, no. I thought it was a legit question. You can ask her. Like, so yeah.
Yeah, but did she like it? Yeah, nah.
She did not like that. No, at all. And no, she did not almost break up with me that day, Manny. It was just something where she was just so mad. This how they adapted it, and it was just bad. Like I have so this is how much of a, like my wife and I both have Dark Tower tattoos. This is my found door. My wife has the unfound door tattoo on her left wrist. So when we hold hands, they match. We're dorks.
Love it.
Aww.
So but this is how much. So I found an artist who could do so in the first book of the Dark Tower, the man in black has a series of tarot cards that he lays out for the gunslinger. I had an artist make those cards. So I commissioned her to make the cards, and they look pretty awesome. And my wife was thrilled with that. They're actually framed in our living room. That's how
awesome.
much I like them.
That's kind of cool. That's pretty cool.
I'm a dork.
So,
Love it.
Real quick, let me address this comment. Share those books in a group. JHG, I'm pretty sure that Doug's going to share his list out on the social media.
Sure.
Whitney, if you want these panels to share to your social media to start a conversation, that'd be awesome too.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll put it in a JHG, but JHG, I actually sent it to you in one of our private chats. It's already there, so check there. But I think Doug's going to put it out. Maybe Doug will put it out on this TikTok if he wants me to make him some TikTok.
I don't post videos in there. I just watch everything.
I'm just saying it's available to you if you would like it. If you decline it, then that's less of work I have to do. It's all good. Either way, we're happy. But
I also I did a deep dive on Lost Souls, my number 3 pick, on a podcast that came out today. So look for Karate in the Garage. I guest starred on that today.
Okay, send us that link, and I will make sure that's going to be on my at least my Facebook and my X or whatever we call it now, and all that nonsense. Doug will put it out on his too. If you remember Doug, that would be awesome.
I can do that.
Yeah. Those cards sound incredible, Doug.
Yeah, I'll post a photo of them in the chat there.
So another little bookkeeping thing I have to do next week. We have our friend, and y'all all know and love her, Ariana. She's fantastic. We have to catch up with her. I still think she's in Costa Rica. She was moving and shaking things with Lauren. And Doug's going to have his top 5 horror podcasts, y'all. So we'll still be in Halloween season. So we figure that that'll work then. And y'all can tune in for that. We will be talking audio to kind of our horror audio. Say that 5 times, Lauren. Horror audio.
Cool.
But maybe we'll get into some audio books. Maybe Doug can bring back his books, and I would suspect that audiobooks in a horror genre would be amazing. Just that,
depends on the narrator
and that environment and just hearing it. So I think that Doug's podcasts are going to be cool. I know nothing about it, so I'm here to learn. Other than that, y'all, we might be able to wrap up here soon, Lauren. Anyway,
Great. Thanks. Good way to end.
Welcome, Lauren.
Lauren runs away.
That was your jump screen there. You're worried about a jump screen we're gonna add to you, so that was that one.
You got me.
But I'm not sure that we have anything else to cover. We went through everything.
Do we want to review stuff before we go?
Yes, sir. That always happens, but like, can I finish? I think we went through and we did really well. I think this is a really evergreen one. I think y'all can go back and look at this next year and a year after, because these are all timeless. And Whitney did really, really well. And Doug, giving us some things, especially because Lauren even asked in the middle of it, like, what about old movies? And then Whitney and Doug both busted out some old ones. So you guys got a really good myriad of like old movies, new movies. Some of these are going to be free. Some of these are definitely on some channels that y'all already subscribe to, because if y'all like me, you subscribe to 6,000 freaking streaming services.
Yeah,
and
there's
so
many.
I just assume people, Whitney, everybody has Netflix. I just assume that. Now that's not true.
That's a big one.
But that, and people steal other people's passwords, even still to this day.
Yeah,
Netflix, just letting you know, Netflix, there's still a lot of sharing going on.
I don't know if you all use Just Watch. That's the app I use to find out where things are. It's an app called Just Watch. You just type in the movie and it tells you exactly all the streaming services it's playing on.
Helpful,
and it's good for us to get off Google. They get enough of our searches and all that, really. So that's justwatch.com, Whitney.
Just Watch. It's an app. It's black with a little gold arrow. An app called Just Watch. And if you'll excuse me, I want to shout out one more horror movie of mine, which is Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin. It's the most recent Paranormal Activity movie that I designed. I'm so proud of it. It takes place in an Amish farm, so I created every costume from scratch. We built everything. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, but I think the movie turned out pretty great. So
wait, were you out here sewing and stuff?
I was doing a lot of sewing. I paid
Every
people
day
to
I'm
make,
sewing.
but I was doing a lot of sewing on that one. And I was filming on an Amish farm in upstate New York, about 2 hours outside of Buffalo. And I was like an hour and a half drive to set every day on Amish country roads in a blizzard.
danger,
very dangerous. Yeah, in the winter.
Wow.
So during COVID, it was like 2021 February. So it was a really tough time, and probably the hardest set I've ever been on. But I'm really proud of the clothes. So if people want to check that out, it's on Paramount Plus.
Look at that. We gave y'all so much to watch. Don't even. And then if you had Doug's books, I mean, come on, y'all. Like, we are the content people.
so
tell you where
much
to get.
content.
Yes. So
Whitney's favorite line: content.
Oh God, my least favorite word.
Yeah, Whitney. So, Whitney, do you have any last words before we get to wrapping up here?
I'm just so happy to be here, and I love talking movies. It's my favorite thing. And if you want to know how many movies I've watched this year, do you have any guesses?
Yes.
252.
I haven't been that prolific, but
we are almost at November. That's why I figured I'd give you a giant number.
I think last year was 175.
I was gonna say 160.
So my last movie I saw was Psycho on Sunday, and that was number 200. So I'm at 200.
Oh wait, you said you saw one today.
Oh no, yeah. So 201. Killers of the Flower Moon today was 201.
Right. Right.
Don't forget that.
Can't forget that. So 201 this year.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I was going to suggest, I want to see a book from Whitney because you got so many stories, lady. I mean, you could really.
I'm thinking about doing a podcast. I might jump on this now that I have this fancy equipment that I got myself.
Might as well put it to use, right?
Right. I also I have a journal. I've been taking a journal every day for the last 5 years. So, I would love to, get those stories out there or continue my blog or something like that.
That would be fascinating. Awesome. So yeah, on that note, since Doug is fighting for it.
Ladies first.
Whitney,
you had one drink. Go ahead.
How good of a bartender are you?
I'm a very good bartender. I make a very good old fashioned. So I'm a fan. I know I did not stray. I was not very adventurous, but sometimes a classic is what you need.
Yeah, we don't need adventurous. We just want you to drink something you like.
I'm happy.
We don't care. But if you don't like gravy, we're gonna have an issue with that.
Yeah, that's
Lauren, you go right. Lauren, you go.
I'm gonna need this bartender to make me an old fashioned one of these days. We'll get there. I had just 2 beverages this evening. I had the Cinderella's Revenge. Where am I? The lighting. Cinderella's Revenge Pumpkin Ale by Parliament. Fun can art. It's a pumpkin ale. It was fun. I don't need to have it all the time, but I did enjoy this. Oh my God, who was this? Tenma.
You should have that one all the time.
This one, Fade into Shadows, Schwarzbier, which I don't have very many of, but I do enjoy. It's like the lighter version of the darker beverages, and it was very tasty, and I liked it. How about Doug?
Doug.
Parliament.
Yeah, not Parliament Funkadelic. Sorry, Art.
Different.
All right, so this was Colorado Ale, which is a basic light lager. This was decent. By WeldWorks. WeldWorks is more known for their stouts and sours. Next up was a Cinegram on French toast, which is an imperial French toast stout. So that was okay.
Such a Doug beer.
Yeah, but this was my favorite, and that's saying something. A raspberry crunchy. I don't like raspberry all that much. This was awesome. This was really good. So that was my favorite.
Raspberry is awesome. I was just thinking the other day about how much I love the contrast between raspberry and strawberry, and about how if you put them next to each other, strawberries are so bland. They're good, but raspberries have that little extra pop.
Tart.
Depends on if you get strawberries that are fresh grown, different. Anyway,
they still don't compare
fresh
to raspberries.
grown.
In my opinion,
I heard fresh ground. I was like, fresh ground
ground.
Strawberries.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that punch.
grown.
Yeah.
So
Strawberries
Greg,
are never going to have that punch. So,
Greg, that one of those I gave you.
Wait, which
Adventure Brewing
the first one? The
Company. Another nice one from them, and then roasted coffee brown ale. Pretty solid. Nice. We were talking, so I didn't get the chance to talk
Yeah,
about
so that was from upstate New York, up where I sent you one of those.
But yeah, I'm gonna finish it. It's good, really good. Yeah, tear the top off that sucker. So, we already talked about next week. Is Ariana? Maybe Lauren, maybe not. Lauren's always invited.
Yep.
You look surprised. We talked.
And we love having you on. Everybody loves having you on. By the way, it's not just us.
But Lauren's making a trip to the Midwest here.
Yeah.
Not to tell all your
I'm going.
not to tell all your secrets, but to tell all your secrets.
Just don't watch Children of the Corn before you go.
Lauren's coming to visit me, and I'm so excited.
Also, that I want to visit people.
Feel very special. Lauren's going to come see my house.
I'm gonna ask that bartender for
All 800 feet of it.
I know, right?
all the
Well,
way across the house.
Hey.
Hot news. I'm moving to California next year, so it's my last year in Virginia. So she can check out my house before I leave.
Or she's not
And your background is still a 10 for the record.
Yeah, for sure.
I was saying that before. Still a 10. I think mine is kind of an 8 here. I like the creepiness.
Mine
Anyway,
is a 2.
One last
Except
time.
except for my wife's painting in the background, but yeah.
really bumps it up.
One last time to say thank you to Whitney for everything. I don't want to put you on the record here, Whitney, but even if you can't make it, we would love for you to put a list together for Christmas movies.
Yeah.
And we could even show them on one of our shows at the end of the year if you cannot make it. But we'll talk about all that in post-production here. But on that note, I'm going to hit the outro here, unless we have something here. Corn.
I love a good pun.
There's always something in these
I
comments.
should have.
We
really asked for that one.
There's always something lurking in the comment section. Right? That one's a good one there. And no, he's right though. I mean, we're okay, but Lauren is delightful. These are
fair.
Right. He's been husking for this one for real. And we're gonna get out of here before Danielle can flood us with more puns. But the outro is about a minute, so Danielle, keep going because
there's time.
Keep going.
Right. We'll see y'all next week with Ariana. Thank everybody for participation. Again, thank Whitney for being here.
Cheers.
Love your
Thanks,
appearances.
Everybody.
You're always welcome here, Whitney. Lauren,
so good to be here.
Lauren, you are a part of the family. Not that Whitney's not, but Lauren, you are stuck with us. You're stuck with us. So
this is true.
Whitney could escape like in any good horror movie. You can't escape in like in any bad horror movie. So
great. It's great.
And I'm gonna be the black guy and shut up like in any good horror movie. So see y'all next week. Cheers.